Well, hello, and welcome back to everyone's favorite podcast, Gorman on Gore. A podcast where two friends discuss a horror film for probably longer than the runtime. I'm your host, Peter Gorman, and with me is my good pal, Jacob. How are you, Jacob?
Wait, what day is it?
I don't know, Saturday?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what we're doing the podcast today.
Exactly. Every week, one of us chooses a movie, a film in the horror genre. Each time we do, we try to make the next film very different from the previous one. In this way, we can keep stuff fresh for both the listeners at home and for ourselves. So I warned you, Jacob. I warned you that we should do a teenager-y film because we haven't done one yet. For the children, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was a good idea to go from like a fun, good movie to this.
Well, my hand felt forced, so because last time you chose Ravenous, I have no idea what order we're going to release this, but that's what it was last, and a very enjoyable film it was. But now it feels like we have to choose something way out. So for this week, dear friends, I called the shots. Please tell everyone what I chose.
Happy Death Day.
You sound so excited, Jacob.
Sorry. Happy Death Day.
Even in the trailers, it was a little bit like that because they have that scene with the nurse girl like presenting the cupcake over and over again and just Happy Death Day.
On Friday the 13th.
Oh, hey, you're up.
Happy birthday.
Oh, hey, you're up.
Happy birthday.
I'm totally having deja vu.
I've already lived through this day.
He's trying to kill me again.
Again.
Is everything okay?
I have to kill him before he kills me.
Happy Death Day. Rated PG-13.
I kind of like that trailer. Like, even though it does the like slowed down, creepy version of like a pop song that's vaguely related to the movie.
Yeah. So yeah.
Although I still feel like the new Candyman movie still
Yet to come out as of the recording of this podcast anyway.
But it's a good trailer.
It is a good trailer.
It made me laugh.
It started that perhaps dubious downward trend of using a great song and then using it kind of out of place for the trailer.
Yeah, that's I was just saying that.
I know. I mean, I was just thinking like it made the most sense, like even with like I've got 5 on it. I mean that I don't know. I guess that had nothing to do with us.
No, that one doesn't count.
And then Say My Name sort of makes sense, but it's funny because they can't play like almost any of the song because as soon as it gets into it, it doesn't pertain to Candyman at all. When no one is
sure, but I mean, like,
say, baby, I love you. Quit playing games. I forget how that goes.
Yeah, we also maybe don't want to sing too much of that song.
Hey, no, if you sing it, it's totally fine. It's only when you play it that it's an issue.
Wait, really?
As far as I know. And I like singing like an idiot, so I'll probably be doing that off and on for various things. Okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man. I'm not going to stop you. I think that's content, baby.
Well, eventually we'll do. I want to do like Willard and Ben, and it might just be because I want to sing the Ben song. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, man. I'm supposed to be looking forward to the future.
Yeah. Okay, so this is our first film that we've watched that is PG-13, or at least as far as I know. Well, let me think. Could The Fly 2 have been PG-13? No, absolutely not.
No.
Ravenous? Maybe? Yeah, it feels R to me.
Ravenous might be.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now.
Yeah. Please stand by.
No, R. Hold on, let's see. Maniac Cop. Yeah, it's also... Yeah, this might be. I guess so.
Oh, you looked up everything?
Well, hold on. Well, let's see. Maniac Cop, The Fly 2, Ravenous. I think that's everything unless I have some hole in my memory.
I believe that's it. So yeah, so this is the first of the well, I don't want to say the weakest, but it's the least bloody of our entries, and definitely the least gooey.
Yeah. I mean, not that I think Gore pertains to how entertaining these movies are.
So I don't think you're ever gonna guess this tagline for this movie. So like, I just want you to make one up, and then I'll tell you what it is.
Well, hey, joke's on you, man. I've got the DVD cover right
my
here,
God.
and it says includes alternate ending.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't get it, but you know. Hey.
All right. So okay, the real tagline is "Get up, period. Live your day, period. Get killed, period. Again, period."
Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
Well, apparently Michael Bay was originally going to do this film way back in 2007. He was going to have Megan Fox do it. I don't remember who made Live, Die, Repeat. Was that Michael Bay?
Megan Fox did not make Live, Die, Repeat.
She was not included in the production of that film.
Okay, also, I'm going to say this. Okay, hold on. Director Doug Lyman.
Wow.
Lyman. I'm going to say this too. Okay, this movie has 2 better names.
Really?
Live, Die, Repeat. The original, when I saw it in theater, it was called Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. That's the real name.
And then it's also based on a Japanese light novel called All You Need Is Kill, which I've read and I liked. I thought it was fun, light reading for a light novel.
Was it in English in Japan? I feel like that's the most forgivable way to have something so poorly constructed.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
because I was thinking it's like those T-shirts that tourists get in Japan and like maybe China, where like it'll say English stuff, but it won't make sense. You know, it'll be like Topps University.
Yeah, there's like, I know this isn't about this movie, but there's a bit of that back and forth because in the novel they also end up calling the main character something like Killer Cage because his name is Cagey and they just like shorten it to Cage.
Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Okay.
Well, just like the back and forth of like using like English as a Japanese person and then like transliterating it or whatever as a from Japanese back to English. You know?
Yeah, it's a bizarre little subculture thing going on with that. I've never entirely understood.
Yeah.
So as we
But
said,
anyway,
anyway,
we're talking about Happy Death Day instead of this other movie.
yeah, I feel like you're avoiding it.
I'm not bitter. I'm not.
Okay. So this is 2017's Happy Death
Alright.
Day, starring a bunch of kids I've never heard of. Have you seen any of these people before?
I feel like I've seen the main actress in something before. I guess I could literally just check the internet right now and
Well, I have the cast list up.
check it out.
Oh, I was about to use her stage name or whatever for this, but no, her real name is Jessica Roth.
Oh yeah, there you go. She was in Better Off Single. I love that movie.
I've never even heard of that.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh,
Sorry, that was a joke too. I'm knocking them out of the park here.
you're batting 1,000.
I'm doing real good. Thanks, man.
All right.
I haven't seen it. Also, the young Asian man. I feel like I've
That
seen him in things, but I've seen him in something, but I could not tell you what it was. And I guess I could also look at it. But
yeah, you're referring to the roommate with the bleach blonde hair that keeps barging in every morning.
And saying the best line in the movie. Yes.
Something about fine vagine. I don't remember exactly what he says.
So yeah, something like that. Which I think is like weirdly enough the most repeated line in the entire movie. I didn't check, but I feel like it is.
It might be.
I don't even think they give him a name in the movie, so I don't even know who to check.
Oh,
Whatever.
his name in the movie or just in real life?
His name in the movie.
Or both. Oh yeah, see, I'm looking up the cast list right now, and he's not even in like the top 10 or whatever.
Yeah, like, we'll just take that as it is. I have seen him in something. I could not tell you what it is.
Well, I don't know. There's not a name.
Oh,
What do
wait.
you call it?
Okay.
There's not a a picture here, but there's a man named Fee Vu, and he plays Ryan Fan in the movie. So that's probably him.
Okay, yeah, I was just thinking that I think I saw him in the show Scream Queens,
Yeah.
which I thought that was kind of fun. I didn't watch the other season, but I watched the first one. I liked it.
Apparently, he was on the TV show Preacher, and he played a clerk.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, and he was a prom teen number 2 in Logan. All these little parts.
Was there a prom in Logan?
I think Logan, retired Wolverine was driving people around in a limo, and he might have been one of the jerks in the back seat, like yelling at them.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can buy that.
I'll believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say otherwise.
Okay, so had you seen this movie before?
No.
We'll get to ratings at the end of all this, but would you recommend this film?
I don't dislike this movie, but I do feel like a full third of it is just doing nothing for me. So, like,
Okay.
lukewarm yes. Like, if someone was
lukewarm
like, hey, kid, I want to see a horror movie on Netflix or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, it's, not bad.
I think maybe I have a soft spot for this movie. I think I would recommend it. I like it.
Mhm.
I mean, it is a little flawed, but I think overall it's fun. But yeah, we don't need to go into specifics of that just yet.
Also,
because we got to go
before we begin in earnest, I need to open the door and introduce the third member of the podcast. Yeah.
I almost forgot.
Hey, guess what?
Yes.
A dog is going to be joining us, and later on in the podcast, we're going to be performing a teleportation experiment. So let's see how that goes.
Then sometime after that, we'll be putting him to sleep with chloroform. That was a Fly 2 reference, everyone. I'm not being cruel for no reason.
Yeah, all right, here we go. Hey, I know, dog.
Right off the bat.
Dog. Yeah.
So as I've established before in prior podcasts, I'm recording, well, it's in Linwood, Washington, but it's near Seattle.
I'm sorry.
And Jacob's recording from... wait, are you still in San Francisco currently?
Change locations, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, just making sure. I mean, last time I checked, you were in San Francisco, and we hadn't actually established that before recording. Long story short, I can't control what his dog does, so we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Listen, I can't control this either. This is like kind of got dropped in my hands.
What's the dog's name? What's it look like?
Clover. If you've ever seen Santa's Little Helper from The Simpsons, it's a good start.
Like a little brown greyhound?
Yeah, thereabouts. I don't like, to be honest, man, I don't know what breed this is.
All right.
I couldn't tell you. It got into my head. But, she's a sweetheart. She'll, you might hear it. Well, you will hear it. But hopefully that's just content.
I guess we'll see.
Listen, how many horror podcasts have, Clover's cute dog. Yeah, you're cutie. Yeah. Have a cute dog in the background. Peter was not ready for this.
Oh, well, no, this is just me flipping through notes. But yeah. Okay, so I suppose it is what it is.
I can't help it, man.
Okay. So let's just dive right in.
Yes.
Okay. So essentially, for those who haven't seen the movie, this is Groundhog Day, but it's a slasher film. Granted, then I have to explain Groundhog Day. So, I'm going to start with that. So, Groundhog Day is a Bill Murray film. It's an excellent comedy made in the 90s, in which he's a news reporter reporting on Groundhog Day, the dumb American holiday where we guess whether or not a large rodent saw its own shadow, possibly portending a longer winter. For an unknown reason, he keeps reliving the same day over and over again. I do not feel bad comparing this film to that one because it's even mentioned in Happy Death Day. So I give this movie credit for openly admitting where they got their inspiration from, and honestly, it doesn't diminish the film for me anyway.
Not to go too far ahead, the the point in the movie where they do reference that was funny to me. That was actually
Yeah, I actually
one of the more
it was right near the end.
one of the more genuinely funny moments of the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so right off the bat, the movie actually starts off pretty fun because the Universal logo for the film like rolls in and it replays itself 3 different times. And every time I watch this movie, I've watched it a few times, it always throws me off because I forget about it.
It messed with me a little bit because the first time I tried to watch the movie, there was something wrong with the audio, and so I tried watching it again, and then after just like messing with some stuff, and then it repeated, and I'm like, oh god, is this really like? Oh, okay, wait, no, I see what it's doing. Never mind.
Yeah, it's like when you're listening to something like an album in your car or whatever, and it'll like do an explosion or a knocking sound or a police siren or a scream.
Oh yeah.
There's like certain noises you shouldn't do because it really upsets people. You're just like, oh, what's happening? And you just realize it was just some dumb thing on an album. You know, you're just like, oh, why?
Yeah. Not a fan of that.
Well, at least this logo, that's the only time they do it, and it's only right at the beginning. So
yeah.
Well, other than the movie itself repeating itself, but that's more, linear and discernible.
Yeah.
So yeah, the movie starts with the tolling of a clock tower that awakens a very hungover college student. This is a college movie. Her name is Tree Gelbman. She appears to have passed out in a boy's dorm room. He seems polite enough, but he's vague on the details of a night the girl Tree has clearly forgotten, so she assumes the worst and wrestles with her personal disgust and self-loathing. The boy folded up her pants and put them on the dresser, which is kind of weird. Did he take them off? He seems pretty timid, but who knows?
I was under the assumption that she had taken them off and he was just being nice.
I think he did, but it's not clear, especially at the beginning. You don't really know where anyone stands on anything. So
yeah, I mean, I guess that's just me, like, assuming the best of people.
He introduces himself as Carter. Tree requests Tylenol for her hangover headache and asks that he tell no one about whatever happened. On her way out, Carter's roommate bursts in and asks whether or not he hit that.
Say the
so
line.
She throws Carter a...
Say...
Well, I didn't write it down word for word, but I think he said, "Did you hit that fine vagina?"
Something like that, yeah.
I'm Carter, by the way.
Not a word of this to anyone. Got it?
Yeah, sure.
Dude, did you hit that fine vagina or what?
So she throws Carter just a venomous look and proceeds out the door on her technical walk of shame. I prefer stride of pride myself.
Yeah. Okay, so I will note something that repeats throughout the movie that I find quite bizarre. Who has a special ringtone for their birthday?
I actually know about this ringtone. Yeah, it has a weird
Go
ringtone,
on.
and it rings shortly after she woke up, and it has a real stupid thing. And I actually do remember exactly what that says. He goes, "Hey, it's your birthday, and you better pick up the phone." And I think it was put over the top of an R&B hit. I don't know which one it is, so I'm sorry I don't know that. But it was created by the production team, and it was never supposed to be in the movie.
Oh, really?
But they couldn't figure out what to put in there, so they just had it in there. So that's almost like when you're making a movie, you'll just have placeholder sounds and things that you just leave, just so you know where to put something, like an audio cue. But the director liked his fake little song, and so he just left it in, even though it doesn't really make sense. I mean, like, I think later on, her roommate confesses that she actually somehow got into her phone and changed her ringtone to be a birthday ringtone. And I was just thinking how insane all of that is.
Yeah, the whole thing's pretty nuts.
I mean, even if you were doing that for yourself, you would change it to a birthday ringtone just for one day and then you turn it off again. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's kind of busy, in the way I live my life, at least.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I got to turn it to my New Year's ringtone for tomorrow.
Well, that's just how I was thinking about it. Is like, I couldn't be bothered.
come to think of it, I wouldn't mind having a ringtone that had seasonal variants. That would be cool.
Sure, but it's either got to happen automatically or you're doing that for me. Sorry.
So anyway, it's a strange little ringtone she gets. Her dad calls her throughout the movie, and she ignores the call every time. Well, almost every time. And it always has that bizarre little thing, and it's just because, like I said, they didn't put in something better. It's like a production song. I kind of like it. I mean, it's really annoying, but it's annoying in that way that is a little earwormy, like some of those old ringtones used to be.
It doesn't feel inauthentically weird. It feels like something that you could hear.
So, Tree walks out into the courtyard, after leaving Carter's dorm. She passes I originally wrote him down as a rocker boy who checks her out. Although I think later on I amend that to be a goth boy. I don't really know. It's a guy in dark clothing and he's got sunglasses and,
Sorry.
I'm not sure which clique affiliation he has.
Sorry, rocker boy? What is this, like Cyberpunk 2077?
I haven't played that, so I don't know the
anyway, someone's gonna... Whatever, someone will smile at that. Like, yeah,
that's fine.
Whatever. So that's not...
You don't have to explain yourself. This is my deficiency I'm talking about. I'm just not hip to the
news. That's not a joke for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just do the Captain America thing. I understood that reference. A rocker or possibly goth boy checks her out over his shades. Then a campus protester asks if she wants to sign something to stop global warming. Then some picnicking students who are about to kiss get soaked by an activated sprinkler. And then she passes a red SUV. Its car alarm just goes off.
Notably, also, Tree does not sign the global warming petition because she recognizes that global warming is fake.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like, what could it possibly be that she's signing that would have any effect on anything? And that's not to poo-poo the ecological movement, but more just, I wonder what she presented her with, because she doesn't go into specifics. She's just like, hey, you want to end global warming?
I mean, I
guess you do that with ending hunger and stuff, I suppose. But, being more specific helps, I think.
I don't want to be cynical, man, but I don't think that petition's going to end global warming. I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of a carbon capture initiative she's going to send to the Senate. It could be something like that.
Sure. I mean, I appreciate your optimism there. I just don't know.
She seems a little out of it, or at least early on. Well, I was going to say early on, but this is the same day over and over again. So, I mean, she always seems a little out of it. So it's hard to know what her motives are when presenting strangers with petitions. But, honestly, this is kind of the college experience. People are just trying to get you to sign stuff. I almost always did, just because I thought it was funny.
I mean, that's the best reason, to be honest.
I'm just like, sure, why not? Do I have to do anything? And as long as they say no, I'm signing it. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, she passes an SUV, the car alarm goes off. Some frat boys are enduring some sort of an initiation ritual, and one of the 7 collapses right as she's going by.
I wanted to also take note of that. I think one of the signs says, like, 26 hours or something like that. Is the implication there that they're supposed to, like, do their chant for 26 hours?
Yeah, they're doing 100 bottles of beer on the wall, and he says 26 hours, so maybe they actually have been standing there for over a day, like a full day of just standing there chanting.
What kind of hell college allows that?
I don't know. And, there are variations for when Tree leaves the dorm throughout the film. I mean, this is minor spoilers for shortly ahead, but that guy always collapses in front of her no matter what, which leads me to believe that there's something about her that makes him want to give up on life.
Jesus.
It's like, oh God, look at this disheveled girl in her glittery, like, rave outfit that she never changed out of. I'm just gonna.
I think these guys are just being, like, oppressive assholes who are making these poor kids go through hell.
Well, listen, there's a thing in tribal societies where you come together by enduring a mutually painful experience.
Okay.
And
Peter, yeah. I'm going to stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
We've both stuck our dicks in the beehive. I have to, like, go over this again. We know how it goes. How to be a man in society.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, what I mean is, there's like it's a social thing
No, yeah.
where you artificially create it by torturing new people. I'm not saying I go with it or whatever. It's very old timey, and I don't know that they do it as much as they used to. But I think a little bit of public humiliation is more what it's about now, rather than actual physical torment.
I suppose so.
I mean, I don't know. I was never in a frat, so this is all just speculation on it.
Yeah, either way, it's barbaric.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
So she almost makes it out of the courtyard when she's confronted by a rather handsome fellow who asks her why she never returned his phone calls or texts. She says she's been busy. The fella notices her glittery nightclub outfit and she's still wearing from the night before and says, "Yeah, I can see that." Ouch.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean,
yeah,
bad things happen.
I don't know. I just thought it was a presumptuous take. I mean, you know what? She can live her best life. I'm not going to judge.
Oh, no. I feel like it's more on his end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, she rather rudely mentions that she hated the one and only date that they went on because he took her to a Subway for their first date, and it's not like you have a foot long. Yeesh.
Pretty brutal, but also, and don't take. Okay, if you're listening to this and you need advice, don't take your date to Subway. I mean, unless she like in one sense, like she's like into Subway, then
Well, it should be of we call it of last resort. It should be if you're desperate for food and you can't get to somewhere else, then maybe go to a Subway.
Yeah.
But there's almost always a better restaurant next to a Subway, so maybe just go to the one next door. Whatever.
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but even Little Caesars, man. At least.
No, I think Little Caesars is on equal levels of badness, but just in a different way.
I don't know.
The grab and go $5 pizzas were just we're just gonna let these get all warm and overcooked. Just grab whatever. I don't care. You can steal one if you want, whatever. But I don't know what presumptions Tree had about what a first date should be, but it should probably be something other than a shabby make your own sandwich establishment. That's probably true.
Yeah.
At least if you're trying to impress someone. And so I guess maybe it's supposed to show that he didn't really care too much anyway.
Yeah, I suppose so. Or that he just...
As we'll find out
Or
later.
he just didn't have the money. And that's what she's all about.
Well, no. Well, maybe. We don't actually know that. But, well, no, I mean, a date should be an event. So, even just going on a walk, I mean, I guess it's more maybe having Subway as a destination. It's almost like going to a Denny's.
Yeah.
Which is just the lowest of the low.
Oh, Lord. I
forget. Were you there the time I went to a Denny's and I was really hungover?
Yes.
I think you were.
Yeah.
That was the last time I ever went to a Denny's.
I wouldn't blame you, man. That was a terrible service. That was
we were there for I don't know what we were waiting for, an hour and a half before they finally brought us food. That was so horrible.
I felt bad because so to be clear, other people at the table got served.
That's right.
It took you specifically an hour and a half, and you were out of it.
I was super hungover, and it was one of those hangovers where it got progressively worse rather than better over time.
Yeah,
and so I kept going to the bathroom, and I'm one of those guys, I really hate throwing up. So I kept going to the bathroom and then not quite being able to get myself to throw up, and then went back to the table and just leaned my forehead on the surface and just waited for food to come.
I mean, that's one of those things where it's what do you even say to someone who's in that position?
there's nothing. I just needed some ballast for the ship, as they say. And
what did you even end up getting?
It was eggs. Eggs tend to work pretty well for a hangover. It's got good protein and it's a bit absorbent. I forget what all. I think it was eggs and sausage and some orange juice. Just stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely the kind of thing you want to wait over an hour and a half for.
Yeah. Well, the lady took our order and then just disappeared, so she must have forgotten the order between the time when she got it and when she went to the register
I
or
guess
whatever.
I'll say this.
So yeah.
That shit never happened at Sherry's.
Sherry's is a local place, or at least I think it is. I've never seen it anywhere outside of Washington State, but yeah, it's just a local diner, and it's one of those up all night places, and they serve you pies, and it's nice. It's like a nicer Denny's.
Yeah. No, I think I have seen it in Oregon, but
Here, I'm gonna look it up because this is really important for our podcast about a horror movie. Just see
yeah,
what
no, we're absolutely on track to make this a 4 hour long podcast. Let's go.
yeah. Let's see. 200 miles. No, I'm gonna go 500-mile radius. Find locations. Oh my god, their website sucks. Okay, so they have. Wait, let me zoom in. They have a couple in Wyoming, and there's one in Idaho. And this is all they're showing me for some reason. So like, they're not even showing the ones in our state. Well, whatever, or my state. So I know there's a couple. There's one in Nebraska, one in Wyoming, one in Idaho, and I know there's at least one in Washington. So whatever, specific to our area. But anyway, every place on Earth has a nice little diner, and they often have those display cases full of pie slices. And this is our version of that.
Yeah.
And so, given a choice, I will always choose that over Denny's. I think I might have a permanent lifelong ban on them now. Just because of how unpleasant that was for me.
They were never. I don't think they were ever good enough to like justify going back at that point.
Yeah. Back to the movie at hand.
Yes.
Okay, so Tree tries to sneak in at the sorority. She walks past one of her sorority sisters, a Vietnamese girl who politely waves hello as she arrives and is rudely ignored.
Okay, Peter, I'm going to ask potentially a rude question. How do you know that she is specifically Vietnamese?
I didn't, but I had the captions on, and she was listening to Vietnamese music. So, okay, so I guess she might not be Vietnamese, and she's just listening to something that is. Yeah, I guess that's possible.
Okay. No, I was just curious. That makes sense to me. Sure.
I guess I can't prove it. Okay, so an Asian girl, and she's got.
Well, no, I'm not saying go
blonde
like,
hair.
I'm not telling you to go back on it. I'm just saying that I had no clue what information you were working off of.
Yeah, but no, but I was just also thinking. I am puzzled by her hair just because it's really blonde, and I'm almost wondering if she's wearing a wig. Or if she just really had to bleach her hair like a lot.
I imagine she just bleached her hair. I feel like that's that kind of sorority. As we'll see in some upcoming scenes.
Yeah. So as Tree is trying to sneak into the sorority house, her sorority house leader, Danielle, immediately catches her, and she runs up in her yoga pants and asks, "Who was it?" And then hopes aloud that, after Tree says nobody, that she says, "Well, I hope nobody used a condom." Yikes! What a morning, right?
Okay, so that was something I took note of. I've never been in a sorority, so I can't say one way or the other. But like, do you think sorority sisters would really give that big of a shit over who you had sex with?
I don't know. Maybe. But it might just be like a mutual loathing thing, because throughout the rest of the movie, Danielle and Tree, all sort of lust after the same men, or at least they seem to be actively competing for similar targets.
Yeah, I guess that might be more. That struck me as very weird.
I like her positioning in the house. They don't show it, but I can assume it because she's wearing yoga pants. So what I'm thinking is Danielle is facing the door to the sorority so that as soon as anyone enters, she sees and is able to address them. This helps actually fix continuity errors later in the movie because she comes in at slightly different times, but Danielle always catches her. And I think it's because she's literally looking at the door, like the whole time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Or at least I like that. See, that's the thing. I actually appreciate the movie, not even always so much for the story itself, but just for the attention to continuity. I really enjoy things like that.
Yeah, I'd say the movie is pretty good about that. I have an issue or two, but they aren't quite relevant just yet.
Yeah, we'll get to them. So Tree wanders upstairs. Oh, Danielle warns her that there's going to be a meeting later. At least I think that happens on the stairwell. So Tree goes up to her room. Her roommate is Lori. Her name is Lori Spangler, actually. I found out later. She's some kind of a pre-med nurse. And Tree asks if she embarrassed herself the night before. And Lori tells her that she danced on a table, started 2 fights, barfed pretzel chunks at the bar, and rammed her tongue down Nick Sims' throat right in front of sorority leader Danielle. But Lori assures her that Danielle was too drunk to remember.
Not a bad night.
Good,
Yeah.
I guess.
Good.
I mean, that implies that Danielle has a thing for Nick Sims, which actually does sort of come up later. But the order in which those events are placed is gross, because she says she barfed pretzel chunks at the bar, and then she rammed her tongue down Nick Sims' throat. So did she make out with Nick Sims after she vomited?
I do like to assume that all of those events happened boom, 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 one after the other.
Really fast? Yeah. It's possible. And, as you find out later about Nick Sims, I don't think he would have minded that much.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, so Tree realizes she's late for class, ignores her pile of mail, and gets ready to leave when her roommate Lori surprises her with a cupcake for her birthday. It only has a single candle in it. Lori had to look at Tree's driver's license to know when her birthday was, because Tree specifically asks Lori about this. Like, how did you know? And then Lori also mentions that she changed the ringer of her phone. What a sneak.
Yeah, that is weird. It, like,
yeah. I mean, there were weird little things right off the bat.
Immediately, yeah. She's weird.
So Tree blows out the candle and just straight up tosses the cupcake in the trash and says, sorry, too many carbs, toodles. This is a minor point, but I just like it. There's a silly sounding sound effect for when Tree enters a college class already in session. It's like the Wilhelm scream, it's the creaky gate opening sound effect that's been used in thousands of things in films and TV. And once you've heard it, you will never unhear it.
That's weird. I feel like I'm usually keyed into that kind of thing, and I didn't notice it.
Locomotive response in the subject shows an acceleration across the quantum plane.
It really doesn't matter, but ultimately, it's just one of those things I noticed. As she's sneaking into, I don't know what it is, like a physics class or something she really has no business being in because she clearly has no interest.
Yeah,
well, I guess I can't say that. She doesn't appear to have interest.
Yeah, first of all, a little presumptuous. Second, it does seem to be
I'm sorry.
some kind of science class.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it's not just that she seems disinterested, but it's also that she's late for the class and didn't. Well, she cared a little bit, but not a whole lot. It seems like this is a common thing that happens. Okay. Later, outside, a man gives some really lackluster pitch selling university gear for the big game. And he just says, 10% off with your school ID. And it really doesn't come up very much later in the movie because it only pertains to the scene in which the sorority girls are having their house meeting out in the public. So I think you only hear it 2 or 3 times in the movie. I just express a little bit of sadness that they didn't use it more, just because I liked how terribly the guy delivered the line,
Yeah.
He's selling football merch at a college. You would think that he would be super excited, or at least, you could pretend a little bit.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I've never been to college. I don't know how excited are people on the campus, specifically for that kind of a thing?
Well, actually, come to think of it, most of the college merch stores are usually semi-abandoned. It's usually that part of the store is pretty lackluster. Maybe the guy would be low energy. Maybe I'm being too hard on the guy. College teams tend to suck, so...
hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, for one thing, their team is the Bayfield Babies, which is like the worst mascot ever.
I did want to mention that. Why is their mascot a baby?
Well, I mean, there's reasons, but it's more just because they like the mask design rather than, that it makes sense for a college.
I did, there was that moment where I was just like, obviously, Minor spoilers, it's for the mask.
Yeah.
How'd they decide on the mask?
I do actually have a story about that too. Do you mean like the people who made the movie, or do you mean the college and the fiction?
No. I mean, like, what is the real world decision that made them decide to name the college after babies, or make the mascot a baby?
Okay, so the guy who designed the mask is Tony Gardner. He made the Scream masks for all of the Scream movies.
Yeah.
And they designed 2 different masks for this film, 2 hypothetical masks. Mm-hmm. And one of them was a pig mask, and the other one was a baby mask. And the director said he thought it was an interesting idea because he was having a child, and I think he had some tension about possibly, like, being a dad, and how that would be scary. Mm-hmm. Which, I don't know how that relates to the movie, but I appreciate the randomness of it. So they tested the effectiveness of the masks by putting them on and surprising people, like the crew members, around the set. So they were able to frighten more people with the baby mask than the pig mask, and so they just went with that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
I guess it's not a terribly exciting story. I just thought it's funny that they tried it out. I was just thinking of all those times you'd be like, all right, well, here's the office report. Oh, Jesus! Oh, what is this stupid baby mask?
Yeah. I don't think that would be an experiment I'd be happy to be a part of.
Hey, here, I got you that coffee you wanted. Oh, God!
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a stupid baby mask. All right.
Yeah, but
you asshole.
Well, yeah, but I'm glad it was done. Just not to me.
I know. I mean, and honestly, I love it as a bad mascot. I mean, it makes no sense. Nobody would ever intentionally make themselves a baby.
Yeah.
But just the fact that somebody did for some reason is pretty incredible. Okay, so yeah, the sorority sisters for Tree's sorority are having an outdoor meeting, and Danielle says that the special needs art fair really freaked her out.
Okay.
So they're not going to do that again.
I will say, I do appreciate the consistent through line of all of these sorority sisters, save for 2 or 3 of them just being awful.
Oh man, I have so much fun with Danielle's character. She's cruel, but also sort of, I don't know what you call it, insightful in a way. I guess the actress's name is Rachel Matthews. I don't know if she's done anything else. But yeah, also, honestly, I think the actress did a really good job as well. I mean, I don't actually actively hate her as much as maybe I should. She almost seems relatable despite how unpleasant she is throughout the whole movie.
I think I get that, but I mean, that doesn't change my conclusion. She is quite awful.
Oh yeah, she definitely is. So yeah, case in point, one of the sisters arrives with a fairly ordinary looking meal, which gets the sorority leader Danielle all bent out of shape. She says, "Is that chocolate milk I see?" I don't know. It just seemed like such a weird thing to... she didn't even ask what percentage of fat was in that milk. It's just the fact that it was chocolate milk at all. It's just oh my God.
Yeah, although that did make me think, when was the last time you ever had chocolate milk? It's been a while.
Not since school, not since grade school or something. No, wait, I've had it a few times after that. Sometimes you can buy them in individual bottles at grocery stores.
Yeah. But
I've regretted it almost every time I bought it that way because it is too thick and too sugary.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's
it's a little kid drink, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least it's hard. I mean, and it feels like it coats your throat, especially the fattier versions of it. As a kid, you like it, or at least I liked it, because it helps cover up the flavor of the fact you're drinking milk.
Yeah.
Choices were limited back then, and so that's all you had. It was either regular milk or chocolate milk. So, Tree, to her detriment, she actually joins in mocking her sorority sister. The poor girl says she missed breakfast, and then Danielle says, "What even is breakfast, Becky?" So she gets up to leave in shame, I suppose, and bowls right into Carter, who gets chocolate milk dumped all over him because the chocolate milk is in a weird open cup. I've never seen chocolate milk served that way. Mm-hmm. Some of it gets on Tree because she's sitting nearby. She is furious. She denies knowing Carter. He returns something to her, a little piece of jewelry. She levels a devastating, hurtful look at him until he finally leaves. It's weird. It's a wordless scene, or at least that part of it, but that is almost one of my favorite parts, is just how awful Tree is at the beginning of the movie. Where it's like she just levels so much hatred in her glance at him until he just sort of backs away. He's like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm leaving.
Yeah, I do think that's interesting that, like, it feels like there's a fairly organic change within her over the course of the movie.
Yeah, no, I think one of the more compelling things about the film is just the fact that there is a pretty effective character.
Yeah.
Once you know that that's what's happening, it makes the movie great.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this movie, I hated it because I thought she was going to be the same for the whole thing. So I'm just like, oh my God, she's the worst.
Yeah.
Like, why is she the main character?
No, yeah, I can see that being like, I guess if you're a more reactionary movie viewer, that being the more like something that would like really stick out to you.
Yeah, it's not much to look forward to when you know the main character is going to be gross and unpleasant for a whole movie.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of old horror movies that did that terrible trope that I'm so glad they got rid of, or at least mostly, where they make you hate characters just so that you celebrate when they die. I mean, I understand that view to a certain extent, but I always prefer caring about someone a bit and then having them die and having a little shameful joy about it.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if I want to feel super bad each time, but you should always see the common humanity in everyone anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't like seeing the seams, I suppose. When they don't even bother to try to make someone seem approachable. Or you introduce a homeless character just so they could be stabbed by Jason first. That sort of a thing.
Sure.
Like, oh, thanks, guys. I'm sure that person had a hard life. You remember that girl who was on the side of the road with a banana and she squeezes it when she dies? I bet she was having... She probably had a real hard life up until that moment. You just had to make fun of her at the end. Okay. Tree goes to visit a hospital, and it doesn't make sense why at first. Mm-hmm. She gets a call from her dad, which she ignores, which is pretty brutal. Tree then runs into her roommate, Lori, the pre-med at the hospital, professing that she thought that Lori was only working nights, which is to say, she didn't expect to see her there and is a little annoyed now that she has. Mm-hmm. Lori knows she's sneaking around and warns her that it could have pretty bad consequences. Tree don't care. You're right. Yeah. And I know it's none of my business, but there'll be some consequences if you keep sneaking around. And she's just like, yeah, it is none of your business. Peace out. Tree passes through a hall in the hospital. Further down it, a cop is guarding a door at the end of the hall. This doesn't matter at all now, but it will sometime later because apparently there's a murderer inside. But they don't mention that at this point.
Bit of a spoiler, to be honest.
I guess. I realize all of these details are kind of pedantic, but it bears out later in the movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is that sort of movie because when you're doing a scene over and over again, all these little things make a difference because then they subtly change each time they do it,
Exactly.
So Tree sneaks into her professor's office. He also works at the hospital, it seems. He comes in all flustered, saying he doesn't have time at the moment. Tree makes a pretty aggressive move. She blocks the door with a chair, and someone knocks at the door as they're kissing. It's his wife.
Good job, man.
So at this point in the movie, you thoroughly dislike Tree.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yes, and I will say that I appreciate that she's enough of an asshole to different people that even though you maybe don't know what the deal is with the movie yet, you have in mind the idea that multiple people have justification, flimsy or not, to kill this college girl.
To kill this girl. Yeah. Absolutely. It's sort of like the beginning of Old Boy, where he's just so unpleasant that later on, when he's locked up for, 14 years?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, I could see that happening. I don't know. Yeah. Somebody would do that.
It's like maybe the extreme, but no, it's a good comparison. I like it a lot.
I could see Tree getting locked up in a basement for 14 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
At this point. So we cut back to the sorority house. Tree is painting her toenails and watching a show called Teen Moms 2. I don't know if this is a real show, but it looks totally.
Yeah, that sounds like a thing that's real. Like Teen Moms is a show.
Yeah.
I imagine the second season is Teen Moms too. I guess.
Teen Moms 2, The Legend of Teen Moms.
Yeah. Teen Moms 3, your teen mom is a werewolf.
Yeah. Die, Teen Moms, die.
There you go.
That's a Darkman reference. Okay, so it is 1000% the kind of a show that she would watch. So it makes perfect sense. Sorority leader Danielle walks in wearing Tree's top. Haha, tree top. This is just something I wrote to myself.
Man.
Danielle stole it without really asking and says it looks better on her than it does on Tree. Great.
I mean, she's not wrong, but go on. Say it.
I mean, it did look pretty good on her, but I don't have the comparison.
Sure, yeah.
And that was very presumptuous of her.
Honestly, kind of rude.
So Danielle asks when Tree is going to the party. I don't know if this party was ever mentioned before in the show, but it's just, I guess it's college, so there's always some kind of a party.
Yeah.
Tree says only that it'll be later, and then the power briefly goes out, and Danielle says, "Our tuition dollars at work," as if the college has something to do with the management of power in her state or whatever. I don't know, maybe it does. I don't think campuses usually run power plants, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, that seems like a bad idea.
What if they did, though? And it was all windmills or something.
You sure? I mean...
I went to when I was in Nebraska in law school, they had an experimental vertical windmill there. Or not windmill, what do you call it? A wind turbine. And it never worked. It was always just standing there all broken.
That's a bit of a bummer, to be honest.
It is, because it's one of those things that was, symbolic for the future, or or whatever the symbolism was supposed to be. And then it's just standing there all broken. So it's also like a symbolism for the folly of men, I suppose.
This is your future.
Yeah. So later on in the night, Tree is walking somewhere in the dark, presumably to the party. She's listening to a voicemail of her disappointed father, who's very angry that she did not show up to their birthday dinner.
Oh, man.
And it is a really sad voicemail to hear, even just a piece of.
Yeah.
I waited there for over an hour. I can't believe you did this to me.
People, be nice to your parents.
Yeah, seriously. A crowd of baby-faced sports fans walks past her, going the other way.
To be clear.
And I only say that because, they're literally wearing baby masks.
Like, just so we're entirely clear on that, they are not young-looking. They are wearing baby face masks.
And they might be young-looking, but over those young-looking faces are baby masks.
Yes.
And just to describe the mask, it's a big cartoon baby face. So it's got kind of a round forehead and two round cheeks. It's got like a single huge tooth that kind of goes off to the side, like in a little small smiling mouth, kind of like has kind of a hillbilly look. And then it's got two slightly offset, almost cross-eyed looking eyes.
Yeah.
And, I actually think it's a good look. It's unsettling. I don't think it would be a good mascot, but, that's neither here nor there.
It's a nice, iconic slasher mask. You see so many shitty ones, so it's nice to see one that's like, yeah, that's good. That's no the chrome skull guy with the knife. That one looks bad. I don't like it. I don't know what movie that's from. I've seen the
or the one from, I was gonna say Sinister, but no, what was the one? What was the other movie that was like Sinister but wasn't? It was no, it doesn't matter. They all have stupid looking faces.
Yeah.
You got to work at it.
Well, the Bagool. I mean, that's not like a slasher, but it is like, it might as well be, because he just looks like a guy from Slipknot.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so we're clear, this is
an
anti-Bagool podcast.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Even just the name is just laughable.
It is actually very funny.
You've got a bad case of Bagool in this house.
Some kind of Bagool you're gonna deal with.
You're gonna have to fumigate. This crowd of sports fans walks past her, but one turns as if to follow her and watches her as she walks away. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, it's spooky, man.
There's a shot of her walking down some stone steps down into some kind of a civilian walking tunnel. that is actually a really beautiful shot.
It is. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to draw attention to that scene because it's rather pivotal in that it's a place where she dies sometimes. You know, minor spoiler for the scenes that
Well,
are
it's
soon
also.
to come.
I mean, like more specifically, it's also where the movie makes that turn.
Yeah, where you're not sure what kind of a movie it is until you hit this moment, and that's when you realize that she's passing into some kind of an uncertain place. You know, a slasher state of mind.
Yeah.
There's a music box playing in the middle of the. I'm gonna call it the civilian tunnel. I don't know what you actually call it. Pedestrian
Yeah, I haven't
passageway.
noted it as a tunnel. It's a tunnel. You can't say
Sure.
it's not.
Well, I know it's a tunnel, but what I mean is like I don't know why it's a tunnel. like, is it under a railroad? That could be it, or maybe a building, and it has to get a walkway underneath it. There's got to be a reason why they dug a hole in the ground. You know, to go from one place to another.
Well, I suppose we'll have to save that speculation for the sequel, Happy Death Day to You, where they will explain this. Surely.
Yeah. I need to look into whether or not that movie is enough of a horror film to justify us watching it.
I don't know.
I hear it's more sci-fi, so I'm not sure.
That is not.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
That's not making me feel confident.
Well, I hear there's like a time machine or an energy field.
Hey, man,
something.
I don't necessarily need to know what's going on.
That's just what little I gleaned from a trailer I saw like years ago.
Okay,
about a year ago, because
Okay,
that's when the movie came out.
Okay, Peter, I haven't seen the movie, and I haven't seen the trailer, so just saying.
Okay. All right.
Don't spoil this.
Anyway.
The movie released in 2017 or whatever. I don't know. With speculation.
That's all it is. I literally have no
idea.
idea.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
The tunnel. Let's get back.
That's all the feel. It's just the feeling I got.
Okay,
that's all. Right. Anyway, there's a creepy music box playing "Happy Birthday" in the civilian tunnel. So Tree thinks someone is playing a joke on her and goes to pick it up.
Yeah.
Would you?
So.
You first.
Yeah. I think we're both kind of going to touch on the same point, which is that I just don't think I'd touch the creepy wind-up music box.
Yeah, I was about to ask that. It's like, would you ever assume that a nighttime music box was part of a fun gag?
Yeah, no, I would,
because I can't imagine. Yeah,
I would actually just assume that someone is like trying to kill me at that point, and like maybe.
Even if it was a fun gag, even if you had a lot of reasons to believe it was, you could still be like, listen, I got weirded out by your creepy music box, so I just ran the other way.
Yeah.
And they might curse you for a coward, but at least, you know, you'll be alive.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's just there's no reason to do it. What's the benefit?
Yeah. So she hears a noise behind her and turns to see a person in a hooded sweatshirt wearing one of those hideous baby masks. She talks to the masked person, asks who they are and what they want. She gets nothing back. It has a really creepy score for the baby. It seems like its own little leitmotif.
Yeah.
Where it plays kind of a strange little moany sound, which is pretty great.
I will say, referring to the killer as the baby is maybe diminishing the threatening nature of the killer.
I have a lot of different names for it. Sometimes I call him Babyface in my notes. Sometimes I call him the mysterious baby person.
There you go. No, I like Babyface. Babyface works. The mysterious baby person is deeply unsettling to me in a way that I can't actually articulate to you.
Yeah. And the third one I just found, I also wrote it as the baby mask vigilante, which that sounds a little less insane.
Well, yeah, also he's not a vigilante. Right. They're not like a vigilante.
Well, yeah.
It's not like they're like heroically killing her.
I like this babyface killer because it's a very understated performance. It's not quite a Michael Myers where you're standing there stock still. You know, you might cock a head once, but it's close. You can tell it's like a normal person underneath, but they're there for a specific purpose, and so they're not going to respond to you. So every time Tree asks the babyface person a question, just stands there stock still and just creeps her out. I actually thought that was pretty effective. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And it's nice to just let a creepy scene breathe for a moment and just be creepy, where you just consider the possibilities of how weird it would be to be talking to a masked person in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Tree does get weirded out, and she insists she's about to call the police. So the mysterious baby person turns and leaves. That's where I wrote it. Tree turns to go back to the sorority house. She's distracted when the music box starts to play again, when suddenly Babyface, now with a knife, leaps down at her from above the tunnel. She tries to run, but immediately trips on a construction sign. Typical. There's that old... When did that start? That trope about white girls tripping in horror movies?
Is it specifically white girls? You racist.
It actually is, but...
Oh, okay. I don't know the stats on it. So, I mean, like... Maybe.
Well, yeah, I don't remember when exactly it began. But no, yeah, it does this. It seems to be... Maybe it's just because there's more white girls running away from people in movies in general. So there's just more likelihood of seeing one trip and fall.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like...
I'm not sure.
I feel like that's how I feel about it. I mean, there's got to be plenty of examples. I mean, like, I also want to say plenty of examples, but at least, like, if we're looking at, proportionally speaking, the amount of Asian final girl characters.
Personally, I just can't recall ever seeing anyone other than a white girl trip and fall in a horror movie when they're being chased, but I don't know. I think it's an insulting convention just because it assumes incompetence. Or at least that's the impression I get.
Yeah, I feel like unless you do it right, it feels kind of lazy to just be like, oops, don't know how to walk anymore.
Well, at least she doesn't do that. So she doesn't break a heel and fall over or something like that. It's actually a construction sign. And so the director went out of his way to make a construction scene that she had to walk through a little bit to get to the tunnel, just so that she could turn and trip on a sign when she was going back the other way. So, I mean, at least there's that. So Babyface grabs her hair from behind, pulls her head back. She screams. Down comes the knife. And she wakes up. As the tolling of the university clock tower bells woke her once again. She's in Carter's room again. She looks very confused.
What?
Carter starts saying all the same things to her.
But this all happened before. What's going on?
This time she remembers his name, says he's Carter before he can introduce himself. He seems pathetically pleased by that. Like he smiles. Like, oh, yeah, you do remember. She requests Tylenol again for the same headache. Carter can't find the Tylenol right away, so Tree points to where it is. It's hidden under some clothes because she got it yesterday. So Carter just accepts that she knows this very readily, which for some reason is really funny to me. It's just the fact that, oh, yeah, you know where all my things are. You've never been here before.
I don't know. I mean, like, that would be weird, but would I even think to question that?
I don't know. Maybe not. I think maybe afterwards it would be that thing when you have a moment to yourself and you're like, wait a minute, how does she know my name and where everything was?
Yeah. Hard to say.
Yeah, he just seems so nervous and insecure. He just accepts that Tree somehow knows everything. Yeah. So Carter's idiot roommate bursts in to ask whether or not he hit the fine vagina. Tree doesn't react to it this time and just walks out in confusion out into the college.
Yeah, also, I'm sorry. I'm gonna laugh every time you say that because it is funny. I don't care what anyone says. It's a funny line. It makes me laugh. I'm glad they repeat it a lot.
That guy's role is the best role because that's all he does in this stupid movie. He just comes in and just says that, and she reacts to him in slightly different ways just over and over again. Apparently, they filmed that one scene with her in Carter's dorm room, you know, with the multiple takes. They did it over a lightning course of 2 days of just continuous filming. So they literally just did the scene over and over and over again.
It makes sense.
With just slightly different variants.
I mean, it's a good way to keep continuity.
Yeah, I suppose. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So the goth boy, I'm calling him goth boy now. He checks her out again. The activist girl again offers her a paper to sign to stop global warming. The kissing couple on the picnic blanket are again soaked. The frat pledges are once again endlessly reciting 100 bottles of beer on the wall. Having gotten down to 63 bottles of beer, they do mention 26 hours. There's a guy in a megaphone who's just announcing it. so that his stupid business can be everyone's. 26 hours, keep going! The car alarm goes off on the red SUV again, and the 7th frat pledge collapses in front of her again. Tim, the handsome fellow, emerges to again confront her for not answering his calls or texts. Tree asks him what day it is. He says, Monday, the 18th. Tree blows past her sorority sister on the outer steps, who again smiled and waved at her and got nothing. That actually is extra funny to me, that you get a second chance at a day, even without understanding, and she still does the same mean things. She's like, no, I'm still not addressing you.
I will say, it's also especially funny what happens later on.
Yes.
She has done nothing wrong to Tree. That we know of.
This sweet little Asian girl who's sitting on the steps of her sorority out in the sunlight, just studying and listening to the headphones, and she very sweetly smiles and waves. And yeah, she might be one of the nicest people in their sorority.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, so sorority leader Danielle catches Tree sneaking in and again asks who it was. I realize that this is only the first repeat, and we as an audience are not meant to think about it too deeply just yet. But it seems to me that Tree spent more time lingering in Carter's dorm room the first time. So even though it took her less time, there's a lot of confusion the first repeat. So it would only result in a several second difference, perhaps. But once you do a few of those things in a row, it becomes several minutes. So you just have to imagine that Danielle is just doing like 20 minutes of workouts. She must have been, just to always be on the ball. But granted, this is also just a movie, so they always want the same things to happen. Whenever she sees it, regardless of whether or not it would be on the same timeline. It's like in a movie when there's a bomb that's going to go off and it's counting down, and if you're one of those dorks, you can count the seconds when they're not looking at the clock and then looks back again. Hey, wait a minute, there should only be 15 seconds left. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And unfortunately, this movie begs that sort of an analysis. So, I will be doing some of that, here and there.
All right, fair enough.
Not a whole lot, but, I know this movie's for fun. But this is how I have my fun.
Sure.
Tree tells Danielle she's having intense deja vu. Danielle claims deja vu occurs when someone is thinking of you and touching themselves, and that she has it like 5 times a day. What a fun character.
Yeah, that's neat. I like that theory.
Tree goes upstairs, has a shorter conversation with her roommate Lori, the pre-med, and still manages to be late for class. So, maybe she's just always doomed to be late.
Yeah, kind of seems that way.
Lori offers her the single birthday candle muffin again. This time, it's a cupcake. I don't know if there's a difference between a muffin and a cupcake, but I should say
it's a cupcake. I don't want it. Yeah. Look, I want it to real things, but there is a difference. But it's a cupcake.
Yeah, I assume cupcakes are sweeter. Muffins are a little more mundane, maybe. Okay, so this time, Tree. Are we going to go into muffin definitions?
No, we're not. No.
All right. This time, Tree sets the cupcake down and leaves without so much as blowing it out, which is extra thoughtless.
Yeah.
Tree attends class, presumably, but it is not shown. We next see her zoning out during the sorority house meeting. It's nice that she attends the second time. She doesn't have the heart to help Danielle publicly humiliate her sorority sister for having a normal-sized meal this time. Danielle says that's not Kappa cuisine. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it the first time, but Tree was mean and did help join in the derision the first time. But I think after the first time, she no longer does that. She starts to see that it's really mean and thoughtless to just, be cruel to someone for eating food.
Yeah.
Tree tries to warn Carter that he's about to get splashed by the chocolate milk, but she's a little too slow and it happens again. Tree again pretends she doesn't know who Carter is. Carter again graciously says they only attended a class together last year. Carter apologizes and goes to leave, so Tree has to stop him and demand the bracelet she knows he has. He doesn't really question this either. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. It's like she just holds her hand out and just yeah, give it to me. He's like, oh yeah, you must be reading my mind right now, so here you go.
That is very weird.
Yeah. So Tree goes back to her professor, the doctor professor. I feel like doctor probably supersedes professor.
Sure. I mean, it's fun to say both at the same time.
Yeah. Professor Doctor. This time she only wants medical advice. Last time she kicked a chair under the doorknob for privacy. This time she actually locks the bolt on the door. So she tries to ask for advice, but he thinks she's about to declare her love for him. And
Like, it's very funny.
It is a funny scene. He's just like, you can't get all tied up in me. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not in love with you. So yeah, she makes it very clear she doesn't feel that way. And then he initiates some kissing with her. Clearly he's not a very nice person either.
No.
So his wife shows up again. They unlock the door and she gives, once again, just a real sad look to the both of them. Like she knows what's going on, but she can't really say anything, you know?
Yeah.
Just horrible. So later on in the day, they're back at the sorority house. Tree watches a video of her and her mother blowing out a candle on a cake. A single candle again. Her mother looks nice.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, she's just kind of, just a little like sad moment, I guess. Or at least you find out later it's sad. Danielle comes in wearing Tree's top again. Tree once again promises she'll attend the party later on. The power briefly goes out again, just like the first time. Tree listens to her dad's angry voicemail. She ditched out on him again. Wow. I'm just thinking, like, maybe the first time you're like, well, listen, I was busy. I didn't want to think about it. But then you have a second chance and you still don't go to your dad's thing. He's in town. He probably drove to wherever she is to go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And then she still didn't go.
I mean, also, well, to be, I guess, fair to her, she is still kind of doubting what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's confusion that maybe she doesn't know what's happening for sure.
Yeah.
Because I guess even if you were presented with that knowledge, you wouldn't really believe it, especially not the 1st time.
It would just be a very weird day.
So, yeah, indeed. Like, oh, well, maybe I'll just sleep through this and, it'll be different the next day. Tree walks down those same stone steps to the same civilian tunnel thing, and it's still a pretty shot. Again, she sees the music box playing Happy Birthday. Why did she come back here?
Good
I was just thinking, like, she dies. Well, maybe she just doesn't want to believe. Maybe she thought that yesterday was a premonition or something.
Yeah.
But even if that's true, I mean, when that'd be a good excuse to just be like, you know what, maybe I'll do something different this time.
Yeah.
But in a way, I do actually like, because it almost demonstrates that, especially early on, she's not a great character because she doesn't even want to take care of herself. Even when she's been warned, not even warned, I mean, she was literally there when something terrible happened to her and she still doesn't want to fully heed it or maybe just believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this time, upon seeing the music box, she turns and flees back up the stairs and makes it all the way to the frat house where the party is happening, but it is locked. She turns away for a moment, and when she turns back, somebody wearing a Bayfield baby mask is standing inside the open doorway. So she clocks the dude, which is pretty cool, actually. Nice. Nick Sims. Oops, it's a surprise birthday. Yeah, so the guy takes off his mask. Apparently it's Nick Sims, the man she drunkenly made out with the night before. Well, 2 nights before, but I think only literally 1 night before in the overall timeline, but not in Tree's timeline.
Yeah.
Danielle is clearly upset when Nick Sims shows more interest in Tree. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because they're talking about more than one guy in the same conversation, and it just seems weird that they both compete for the same people. I don't know. It's an interesting thing because when you're in college, there's an assumption that you're going to experiment and just try things out, meet people. It's maybe the most uninhibited that a lot of women are, or at least it seemed that way when I was there. I mean, I don't know. That's like a weird thing to say, maybe. They certainly seem that way. So maybe there's just a thing about playing the field, for everybody. So there's this thing where Nick Sims smiles at her, at Tree, and Tree smiles back, even though she's not really that interested in him, or at least, well, maybe she is. It's not really clear. But this is right after Danielle is voicing her insecurity, and he was clearly upset. Like, so upset with Tree that she storms away. And Tree's just sort of like, well, I don't know if I really care about this guy, but I think I'm going to go pursue this anyway.
Yeah.
I suppose in the past, when it was a guy doing this with multiple women, it was cool. So, I mean, maybe it shouldn't matter either way.
I don't think it does, really.
But, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The movie also does a nice thing for the main character where they eventually make all of the competing males unobtainable or unviable so that she doesn't have to choose Carter, but he just becomes the best choice.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's like reality is just fighting for Carter.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, I guess you can't begrudge Tree for wanting to play around in college.
No,
that's what I was saying.
no.
That's what college is
Yeah,
for.
I would. No, I don't think I would begrudge that. That's perfectly normal.
Although, I mean, in light of everything else she's doing, including her affair with the doctor who's married and everything else, it really doesn't look great for her specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I said before, Nick Sims wordlessly summons Tree upstairs. She grins and follows. Nick's room looks like it was interior designed by a 12-year-old. There's street signs, a Jolly Roger, a blow-up doll wearing a sombrero.
Sure, why not?
I'm just like, who made this room? Tree finds a rather large mirror for a man's bedroom and touches up her hair a little bit. I don't mean to besmirch Nick Sims for having a large mirror. I just thought it was odd.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
As she's looking in the mirror, she turns around and there's another hooded baby face standing behind her. Dun, dun, dun. She turns and asks if he'd like to be punched in the nose again. He says nothing and acts all weird until she takes the mask off. Thank God, that would have been a dumb way to die.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say to that. I'm just thinking, like, well, what if it was anyone else wearing that mask right now? And why was he acting so weird about it, especially after he got punched in the face?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's just to make the movie a little spookier, I suppose, but it's just a remarkably dumb thing for Nick Sims to have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Nick pulls out a remote and says, "Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, dear Lord."
Look, man.
Yeah.
Can
he's living his best
yeah,
life.
I mean, can you believe him?
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He activates some kind of a system. A strobe light comes down, lights turn on, and loud music starts playing. And then Nick has himself a good old solo dance, feeling his own vibes,
Yeah.
just his own essence. And Tree just looks vaguely embarrassed while she's standing in front of him. It's just like, oh, okay. All right, you do you. Tree notices that Danielle texted her, angrily asking if her and Nick were together at that moment. And while Tree is busying herself giving some kind of a lying response to text back, the real babyface emerges and viciously stabs Nick to death. And I guess she just doesn't notice right away.
Yeah, he probably didn't have that coming.
I mean, we don't know this man at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like kind of an idiot, but I mean, yeah, it's still a pretty awful way to die. A lot of like gut shots, which seem like, I don't know if they even would have killed him right away. He might have just been really hurt. Maybe they should have called the police.
Yeah.
So Tree turns back and thinks Nick put the mask on again, when she sees someone standing there. She wants to call it quits because Danielle is flipping out. She notices this baby face has a bloody knife and turns and sees Nick sprawled dead on the floor. Well, probably dead. And they struggle. Some random drunk frat idiot just wanders into Nick's bedroom just as she's about to be stabbed on the bed. She screams for help and he just salutes and hoots. Horrible.
Yeah.
Woo! I guess that's kind of just a callback to all those crappy college sex movies, all those comedies from the 80s. Not so nice anymore.
No.
Baby breaks an enormous blue bong that Nick Sims had on the side of his night table and goes to run her through with it. And she wakes up again to the tolling of the bells. The bells! It must have been such a pain shooting and reshooting so many similar scenes in the same sets.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like how odd it was. Like, all right, so this is the third time, so you need to be like even more confused than the first two times. All right. So this time she barely speaks to Carter before running out of the door, which is to say that she spends no time. The first two times she actually did talk to him for a while, but this time she doesn't do any of that. She just leaves. The goth guy is still there to check her out. She knocks the paper out of the activist's hands. A simple no thanks would do, she says back to her. Sprinklers soak the picnic. The red SUV car alarm goes off. The seventh frat pledge collapses in front of her again.
Mm-hmm.
Tim tries to confront her again, but she tearfully pushes past him. Oh yeah, that's the big difference this time. I mean, besides not really paying attention to anyone, She looks super upset and is just storming past everyone without really talking to anybody.
Yeah.
She gets to her room quickly, and Lori, the pre-med, asks her if something is wrong. Tree explains how she's already lived the same day twice. She knows about the cupcake. She knows that Danielle set up a surprise party for her at the frat house, I guess it is, where Nick Sims was. And she knows that somebody will kill her. Lori seems surprised by all of this. Like, wait a minute, did somebody tell you about the surprise party? She's like, no. Lori just thinks that Tree might be in a bad mental place because of what happened to her mother.
Yeah.
Which is the first time you hear about that. So she skips class and nails boards over her windows, which I think this is maybe my first response. I mean, here's a question I was thinking of right off the bat. What would you do? Well, it's two separate questions. One is, what would you do if you had the same day over and over again? But then the more specific question to Happy Death Day is, what would you do if you're trapped in the same day where someone's trying to kill you? And I suppose the answer is just to kill that person. It wouldn't actually be that hard. Because, like in a save state in a video game, you get to a part where you die. And at least on a computer, you can save the exact moment before you fall into a pit or whatever happens. And you just keep saving over and over again, moving a little further ahead until you've mastered the movements perfectly. So that, even if you have no idea why something works, you do it perfectly. And I guess if you had enough times, maybe you don't want to have to keep running through over and over again, your own painful deaths. But, I mean, you could technically just kung fu your way through any interaction with the killer, so long as you discipline yourself to remember what happened the previous time over and over again.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess the easiest way to figure out who it is just to barricade yourself in, just to see who could conceivably know where you are and come for you. If nothing happens, that opens up more possibilities, but if someone comes and attacks you, then presumably that narrows it down quite a bit.
It would be more interesting if she actually did survive on her own and then was brought back to the same day anyway. The movie seems to be on the assumption that she will repeat the same day over and over again until she stops dying.
Yeah.
But it would actually be funnier, at least to me, if she actually... I was just thinking, why not just go out into the park somewhere and just dig a hole in the ground and then just bury yourself. And I don't mean literally, just dig a pit and crawl into it and then just put a lump of grass over you, and just wait. Nobody's going to know you're there. I mean, this is a comedy, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone just starts watering the lawn and, and then she drowns or something horrible like that. But what I was thinking is that you could just hide anywhere just so long as no one knows you've done it, and you would probably survive. I mean, I guess. That'd be a terrible movie, though. We're like, oh, well, that was easy. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just go back to my life,
having
learned nothing.
I suppose the answer to that has to be that can't work because the movie has to happen.
Yeah, so I actually prefer the idea that she would repeat the same day until she caught the killer. That way she could survive, but she would be trapped anyway. I don't know. That might even be the case in this movie. It's not clear because she dies each time. So you never really know if she hadn't, Mm-hmm. So this is her first determined attempt to stay alive. She pushes furniture against the doors of her dorm room, or whatever you call a sorority room. Danielle is talking to her through the door, saying, "Oh, are you gonna go to the party?" And she's like, "Probably not." The power goes out again, and Danielle says, "Our tuition dollars at work." Tree is finally going to taste that nice-looking cupcake when she notices a stack of mail she had been apparently ignoring for the last two of the same day. She finds a birthday card inside of one of the envelopes, and it's addressed to her that has a spinning Bayfield baby head inside. The card reads, "Have a lucky day. Enjoy today, because there is no tomorrow." And it has a period at the end of the sentence, which somehow makes it seem more like a factual sentence rather than a well wish.
Yeah.
Because there is no tomorrow. I mean, granted, there's no real way to spin that phrase and have it sound nice. That's just insane.
No. Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot to mention that she is watching the same horrible Teen Mom show again. I'm just thinking, you didn't get enough the first time. Maybe she wasn't paying attention. I mean, I know there's something to just having TV on as just sort of a noise, while you're doing something else. And she was painting her toenails the first time. So maybe she wasn't paying attention to all the important points about Teen Mom 2.
Yeah, I mean, well,
So this time, she's really going to nail it down this time and just find out what happened.
Yeah, you never know.
So her TV blinks on and off a few times. She lost the remote. She goes looking for it, but it's just gone. And then she realizes that somebody must have her remote. And this actually might be the creepiest part of the whole movie for me. She grabs a hammer and just starts investigating her own room. She's got a bathroom attached to her room, which is awesome, by the way. And it's genuinely creepy as she goes in there. It's dark and abandoned looking. As per usual, the bathtub already has the curtain drawn, so it looks all creepy in there.
Yeah, as you do.
The TV turns... Yeah, so she does that thing where she leans in and she's about to pull back the curtain on the tub when the TV turns on again. So she turns to look at it, and the babyface killer emerges and stabs her through the door. And that's that.
Yeah.
I mean, so I was just thinking, the killer had to have known that she was going to do that, and then just waited in the bathroom for what was probably hours. And I was just thinking, how lame that must be to be a serial killer sometimes, or at least in a slasher movie.
Yeah.
In that movie, what was it, the Behind the Mask of Leslie Vernon, where they just show you what it would actually take to strategically place the dead bodies after you've killed them so that it upsets the last person, or being able to run to different locations and then when you get there, stand there, or look like you've only just walked there.
Yeah.
Just weird logistical hurdles of being a terrifying killer,
Yeah, you get the impression that these masked slasher killer types, they're losers, basically.
Well, maybe. It shows a certain dedication, maybe an unhealthy dedication. But, they're already killing people. So, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, suppose so.
It's great. So this is, what is this, the third or fourth time? I forget. Anyway, she wakes up once again in Carter's room. This time she's just hysterical. She just gets up screaming.
Yeah.
And no longer concerned about explaining herself. So Carter follows her out to give her abandoned clothes and shoes. Touched by this kindness, she hugs him and asks for help. They go to a coffee shop and she explains everything to him. Carter explains that he didn't take advantage of her during their fateful night. She seems touched by that, I guess.
Wow, that's really
so
extra nice of you. Not expected.
Yeah. Carter gives some useful advice about using each night she has to investigate who might be the babyface killer. She's like, that's a terrible idea. It's like, well, do you have a better one? And, and she just gives this face of resignation. No, I got nothing.
Yeah.
So they play a fun song and cue the montage because she writes up a suspect list. And it's interesting when you write something like a list when you're repeating the same day over again, because that actually means you have to rewrite the list each day.
Yeah,
and then cross out the previous people. So the first person she suspects is Tim because she was mean to him.
Mm.
Oh, actually, that's something she was talking about to Carter, where Carter just asked her, well, okay, how many people are mad at you? And she was like, well, I was making out with Danielle's, favored beau, I guess, Nick Sims. I was mean to various people. And she says she spit on a taxi driver who dropped her off somewhere.
Yeah.
Or it might have been an Uber driver, I forget. But anyway, someone who was driving her somewhere. And she's just like, I don't know. It could be so many people. And I was just thinking what kind of a life she's led where she honestly was just like, I'm just mean to everybody, so it could be any number of people.
Yeah.
There was a poll not that long ago. It was like some sort of political poll, and it was just asking people how many enemies they have. And they don't say anything more than that about what an enemy is. But most people say they have none. I think it's 40% or so. And then there was a smaller percentage said, I think it was around 20% said a few. And then there was I forget what it was, about 10, 15% said many. And I was just like, what kind of a life are you leading? Where you just have all these people, you're like, oh, you're my enemy now.
I feel like the people who say that have to be just people full of grievances about dumb shit. Like,
Well, maybe so. I mean, I don't want to pass judgment on people's sad lives, but I'm just thinking like that must suck to always be on your guard that way. You're always thinking there are people out to get you all the time, you know?
But it's like the person who like gets, I don't know, banned from Trader Joe's or some shit, and is like, well, now I'm enemies with them.
Yeah, maybe so. The first person on her suspect list during the montage is Tim. She discovers Tim is gay. She sneaks up on him and watches through a window as he's about to watch something with some Kleenexes. And he's called away for a moment. And she sees that it's gay police porn, it seems to be.
Yes.
And she makes a great face through the window, like, oh,
Yeah.
my!
I did make a note of that because that is maybe the funniest reaction you could have for that.
Yeah. And then she turns around and is just immediately stabbed by the babyface killer.
Yeah.
So I guess whoever it was just followed her out there. She then follows someone named Stephanie. I don't actually know who that is for sure. Apparently on this cast list, it was played by someone named Laura Clifton. I don't know who she is in the movie. It's just one of the sorority sisters, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's the wife of the doctor. It could be that. But anyway, she follows a woman out to some sort of a party. And the woman's walking around acting normal. And she's like, well, okay. And taking notes. She's taking notes about her. And then the babyface killer tackles her from behind. And a tree is, I think she's drowned in a fountain.
Yeah, you also failed to mention that she was wearing night vision goggles and wearing camo.
Oh, yeah. And she had fun hair stuff. They had a little thing where she was dyeing her hair and making like fun faces in the mirror. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I think they just wanted it to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, let's do something silly.
In fact, I would actually say this is where the movie picks up, at least for me, where it's like, instead of stuff happening to her, she is doing things.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She's starting to activate as an individual, asserting herself, but also just realizing what's important to her and what's not, you know, and how she can just play with her appearance and, you know, and just do whatever she needs to do to get something done.
Yeah.
Growing and expanding as a person. The next person on the list is Danielle, you know, the sorority leader. So they're walking together down a street, and Danielle accidentally drops a birthday card that looks like the one that Tree received. And so Tree gets furious and just tackles her, and they get into a rolling fist fight right out into the street, and they both look up just in time to get nailed by a car.
That was a good one.
So that was a good one. They never really explain that again, why it wasn't Danielle, but she just sort of gives up on her after that. So I don't know.
I mean, it's almost funnier if like the meanness is one thing, but she like actually did want to wish her a happy birthday.
Maybe she just said it in a stupid, mean way, and like the birthday card wasn't a threat.
Yeah,
she's just so like socially unaware that it would sound ominous.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know,
because there will be no tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know, or like yeah, it just the idea is funny to me.
Yeah, but they never exactly fixed that, so I wonder if there was some removed scene or something. So then at this point, she just does a nude walk just for funsies. Yeah. And I just wrote, sure, why not?
Trailer fodder.
I guess. It is fun. But I was just thinking, did she do that all day? I mean, I wonder if she got murdered while she was walking around nude at night or something.
Yeah, I do wonder how that played out.
Or maybe she just wasted a day where she's like, I'm going to do a streaking thing, and then I don't know, maybe I'll get dressed later and do something else.
Maybe she doesn't die in that one.
Well, wouldn't that be weird if that's the way she like... Oh man, they should have had that be where like throughout her life, she keeps repeating days unless she's walking around naked, and she has to keep doing it. Like, this is so irritating. There's a really horny god just cursing me.
I don't know about that.
Okay, so she ambushes and nails sorority sister Becky with a baseball bat. This is the girl who was being teased for having a regular sized lunch, you know, at the sorority house meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks kind of like she's dead or maybe really badly hurt by that bat. So Tree puts down the bat and goes to just see if she's okay. And Babyface comes up from behind, takes the bat, and bashes her head in with it. And there's actually a really cool transition for when the bat hits her head, and and it just kind of rolls over to the side, and she falls, and the camera follows her until she like lands on a pillow, and she's back in Carter's dorm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ugh. That was actually some pretty good cinematography.
Okay. Also, minor point that I was thinking of back to the drowning thing.
Yeah.
The water repeated back with her.
Yeah, it was. It was in her mouth, and she spat it out when she reawakened,
That's
which is a little weird.
yeah. I mean, it's comedy, but it plays into another thing that comes up later on, I think.
Well, actually, it comes up right now. That's the funny thing. So she wakes up yet again after being hit on the head, and she's like, "Oh, I really don't feel good." And she's talking to Carter and just grasping at her abdomen and just passes out.
Yeah.
And she wakes up in the hospital. Carter's there. She asks what day it is, vainly hoping that she, slept through the day. But he says it's the same day. And Dr. Gregory comes in and gives Carter a weird look and then shoos him out just so he can tell Tree that she has lesions and scar tissue from all kinds of stuff that's happened to her in the last few days of the same day.
Mm-hmm.
He says something along the lines of, "Well, you should already be dead," which is very strange to me. And there's also a certain sadness to that because I don't think she ever heals from that, or at least maybe not until she recuperates after that one day. But it seems like each day she'd still be a little weaker than the previous.
Yeah, I guess this is as good a time as any to mention it. This doesn't really come up again.
Not a lot. I mean, it's mentioned once or twice, but yeah, for functional reasons, it doesn't come up at all.
Yeah.
It does come up in the alternate ending, which we will get to, but not the regular one.
All right.
This also reminds me of The Butterfly Effect. I don't know if you ever saw that Ashton Kutcher movie.
Of course.
Where he keeps reliving his own childhood. And so after a while, they're like, "Man, your brain is ruined." It's like it's been rewritten over and over again. Like you've lived like several hundred years of life or something. And he's just like, "Yeah, whatever." So like even after he fixes everything later, it's it's still going to be a mess up there.
Yeah. Your brain, I'm sorry, it's too wrinkly.
It's got too much in there, man.
Yeah.
And in that movie, I believe they were even darker than this one, where they're just like, "Man, this might kill you. You know too many things."
Yeah, no, it's definitely darker in The Butterfly Effect.
Yeah. Dr. Gregory says that she should already be dead, so that leaves me uncertain about whether or not she's like a deathless revenant. Maybe she will defy death until she solves her own murder, or maybe it just doesn't matter at all. I'm not positive.
I'm gonna side with the "it doesn't matter at all" camp.
Probably. So Tree, she ain't got no time for this. So she asks Dr. Gregory for a soda, and while he's gone to getting it for her, she just sneaks out.
Yeah.
A nurse on watch is reading a romance novel. I mean, that doesn't matter. I just thought it was funny.
I noticed that too.
She sneaks into Dr. Gregory's office. She's looking for car keys, I think, but instead finds a babyface mask.
Yes.
She suspects Gregory, I mean, as you would.
Yeah.
Until he appears and then is stabbed by the real babyface. Apparently everyone loves these creepy baby masks. I mean, why else would he just have it sitting in his desk?
I guess. I mean, that is a funny scene for that.
Yeah.
That moment of like, could it be him? No.
Like immediately, like, could it be? No. Oh, he's dead. All right. Never mind.
Yeah.
Tree hides in the hospital parking garage. She unlocks Gregory's car, but it chirps. She's not actually next to the car. She does that long distance button push thing.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that she was being clever and misdirecting Babyface. But then she just runs to the chirping car. So it's like, "Oh, you just ruined it."
Yeah.
She could have just done that and had him go there, and then she just went somewhere else. Just left the parking garage.
I mean, the car does offer a lot of protection.
Yeah, well, okay, in her defense, it was a great idea once she actually got in there. I mean, she gets into the car, she starts it up, Babyface breaks the window and chokes her, but she puts the car into reverse, and that breaks the killer's grip, and she peels out of the parking garage. So she got away. She actually escaped the killer.
Yeah. Movie over.
She starts to celebrate. Yeah, it'd be great if you just went to credits right then and there. And then she drove away. But her celebration is short-lived because she's pulled over by the police.
Which I do appreciate, because in a lesser movie, you probably wouldn't have the police factor into this too much.
Well, it's the only way, I guess, for the movie to just find a way to stop her
Yeah.
in an almost Truman Show way, where there just needs to be an excuse for her to still be near the city limits while stuff is still going down on the same day.
Mm.
So yeah, she's pulled over. She can't supply her license or registration because they're Dr. Gregory's, not hers. She says her license is somewhere else. She yammers about being murdered. The cop asks her if she's on drugs. And she's just like, well, okay, if I am on drugs, will you arrest me? And he's like, yeah, that's how this works. And so, she's like, yeah, I'm on drugs. I'm on all the drugs, which is, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He seems like he doesn't want to have to do the paperwork. And so he's just sort of reluctant. He's like, well, I guess I have to arrest you then. You know, he handcuffs her, puts her in the back of the police car. And then Babyface Killer comes back again in a car and just nails the cop. Tree is trapped in the back seat, and so Babyface comes and makes a face at her. Well, I would assume. He's got the mask on. But anyway, stares at her with the mask, and she just asks, what do you want? You know, that kind of,
Yeah.
I know what you did last summer type moment. So Babyface, says nothing, as you do. I forget exactly what he does. I think he puts a trail of gas from the gas tank to where he's lighting it a ways away, just so he can blow up the car.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad explosion.
No, but you do wonder, I mean, how embarrassing would it be for him if the candle just failed to ignite the gas?
Oh yeah, that's right. It was the cupcake candle. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it's very symbolic. So Tree wakes up yet again to the sound of the tolling bells. She reluctantly re-explains the situation to Carter. Carter mentions that he majors in neurocognition or something.
That's
something like that.
Very convenient.
Yeah. They're sitting at a diner, and Tree leans over and has a good long fart in front of him while they're eating. And it was funnier than it should have been. He's just like, did you get it all out? And she's like, well, you're not going to remember any of this anyway.
That was more funny than the fart itself.
Yeah.
It's just, why would you even care?
She gets a call from her dad on the phone while in front of Carter and refuses to answer again. She confides to Carter that her mother died 3 years ago and they were born on the same day. She thinks her mom would be ashamed of who she became. Whew.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I do like her self-awareness.
That's a little heavy.
Yeah, but I mean, it also shows that she's sort of reflecting on herself, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now that she's had time being trapped in the same day over and over. So, Tree sees a news report about a serial killer named John Toombs. That's spelled Tombs.
Like the serial killer on the X-Files who could stretch his limbs.
Yeah. Or like the place in which you inter dead bodies.
I like my version better because it references the X-Files.
That is a great episode. Well, X-Files had a lot of great episodes. But yeah, that stretchy guy going through the vents was really creepy. So Toombs apparently killed 6 female victims and is currently being held at, such and such hospital. It's the one that she's been at over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So Tree goes to the hospital where Toombs is recuperating and grabs a fire axe. She finds a dead security guard. A hooded Babyface shoots a gun at her, knocking the fire axe out of her hands. I don't know how it did that, but it does.
Hell of a shot.
I think it spanged off of the blade and it just frightened her, so she dropped it, I guess.
That's what I was. That's kind of how I figured it went.
Yeah. The mask comes off. It's Toombs underneath. He goes to shoot her. Carter appears and tackles Toombs from the side. He didn't see him approaching. Toombs kills Carter. Tree runs. Tree manages to ambush Toombs with a crowbar and bests him, and is about to finish him and break the cycle once and for all, or so she thinks, when she realizes that would doom poor Carter, who died protecting her. And so, in the most selfless act I've ever seen her do up to this point, she hangs herself in the clock tower.
This in particular got me thinking about the way that time works in this movie.
Yeah.
Where I wonder if each individual day that she wakes up, the day she dies is its own world and it keeps living on past that.
Yeah.
Because,
you mean each one is a different branch?
Yeah. Because
that would be weird to just live in that reality. Where
because Yeah, see you soon. And then she just like hangs herself in front of him. Like, how do you even react to that?
Yeah, Toombs is just like, this is the weirdest day of my entire life. And I'm a serial killer.
Yeah, I mean, I like. No, I mean seriously, how do you react to someone saying that and then hanging themselves in front of you?
Yes. See you soon. Huh.
Feel
All
like
right.
feel like that would really
I mean,
mess up my day, to be honest.
I was gonna do something else, but I mean that this works too. She wakes up and hugs Carter. She's happy for how valiant he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
On her way out of the room, she spanks the roommate who asks about the fine vagina.
Yeah. He was probably pretty into that, to be honest.
He seems shocked, and it's great.
Yeah.
She steals the goth guy's sunglasses as he walks by, signs the activist global warming thingy, warns the kissing couple about the sprinkler, lays a pillow under the falling frat boy. She confronts Tim about how he should be proud to be who he is, because she knows he's not really into girls.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely how that works.
Yeah,
Like just
I guess.
hey dude, just I know you're kind of closeted, but like be gay.
Yeah, man, just be your best self, man. She actually waves hi to the Vietnamese sorority girl on the outer steps. So that's a big move for her. When Danielle confronts her at the foot of the sorority stair, Tree proudly says that the guy she was out with was a boy named Carter, and that if she ever gets out of this day, she'll have his babies, which I guess is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't actually still know him that well. She's had several good days of talking to him, but I mean, not about like their hopes and dreams or whatever.
No.
I guess she knows that he's nice, and it's probably the nicest guy she's ever been out with. But that's just not saying much. I mean, it seems like her standards are really bad.
I mean, I feel like at some point it's sort of like the guy dies that many times for you and helps you out that many times. It's like he's got to have some good qualities.
I suppose. Or if nothing else, he's got your back. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tree apologizes to her pre-med roommate, Lori, for how awful of a roommate she has been. Tree breaks it off with Dr. Gregory at the hospital. He says, I'm not going to just give you an A now. I guess she was sleeping with him to help do that. And she's just like, I've already dropped your class. So, that was cool.
Yeah. Good for her.
She arrives late to the Kappa sorority mandatory meeting. I finally wrote Kappa because I didn't even know what the sorority was called until about this point in the film.
Yeah.
She comes with a ton of food on a plate. Danielle tries to give her crap, and she just throws food at her and pours Becky's chocolate milk all over her head, which is pretty awesome. Carter shows up to deliver the bracelet, and Tree embraces him with a kiss. She asks if he'll do something with her later that night to celebrate her birthday. Carter sheepishly says yes, and the other sorority girls look like they want to stand up and clap. Like it reminded me of like the end of like Dirty Dancing or something. We're like, the time of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's making peace with everybody, and it's nice. It's kind of like the ending of Groundhog Day. I guess that's kind of what they're going for. It seems like each of these repeating the day over again movies responds to the previous iteration.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to.
So, cut to a lonely old man waiting alone at a dinner table. You've never seen him before. But this is Tree's dad, and he looks like an old baby. It's hard to describe. But he's got like a youthful face, but it's like it's been aged with like an aging gun or something. He's an unusual looking actor to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got...
I can kind of see that.
So he's just glumly asking for the check when Tree finally arrives. She tells him she's done running from her problems and her grief, and they reconcile. It's nice. They have a nice little moment. And you think, oh well, she's wrapping everything up, so things will be good soon.
Yeah.
We cut to around 9 p.m. She gears up and heads to the hospital, fully invested in the idea that getting rid of Toombs will be the end of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So she surprises the guard watching Toombs by putting a knife to his throat. It's pretty badass, but also just sort of frightening.
Yeah.
Like, did she practice this over a couple of days first? Be like, all right, here's how I have to overpower the guard. Yeah, so I mean, she gets him up on his feet. She takes his gun, orders him to go get help, and he just goes along with it. It doesn't seem like a very good cop.
I'll say this, man. If only it was that easy to steal a cop's gun.
This is a bad thing to say, but I have had that impulse once or twice when a cop has gone by. Because they have that stupid looking gun on a holster. I mean, It's got a little button on it, so you can't just grab it. But especially as a kid, I always had that impulse to just like grab the holster and be like, ha ha, and then just give it back.
It does stick out. It's like, okay. I hate to use this phrasing, but it's like they're asking for it.
It's just right there for the taking.
Tell me it's not. No, okay. If you're listening to this, like, take a look at your local police officer with their like gun hanging out like that, and tell me they're not. Tell me they're not aware of what that looks like. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So she goes to execute Toombs, but not before she does not realize when she gets there that the safety on the gun is still on. So Toombs knocks the gun out of her hands with a pillow.
Amateur hour.
Yeah, springs out of the hospital bed. Toombs pins her to a wall, steals the knife out of her belt. Again, a little amateur hour.
Yeah.
She knees him in the cojones. He throws her into a glass fire hose container. Toombs is about to go in for the coup de grace when the lights blink out. Something she knew would happen. She actually had the alarm on her watch, so she knew exactly when the lights would go out. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. So, he's blinded for a second, or not blinded. He can't see for a second, and suddenly she's gone.
She pulls a Batman.
Yeah. He turns around, she's got the gun. She shoots him 3 times, and the gun is visibly empty. And he's dead. They play triumphant music. And, and that's that.
Yeah.
The serial killer is dead. And so Tree lights her birthday cupcake with Carter, and she blows it out. Her only wish is for tomorrow to come. That's all she wants, is just for another day to pass. And she blows out the candle. And she wakes up to the toll of church bells. No!
Oh, this is so good.
It is a wonderful fake out because it really wraps up everything so nicely. You're like, well, she's made peace with her dad. She's come to terms with her own self-loathing. She's moved on as an individual. She's nicer to people. She's got better focus and direction. She's got a nice boy that she likes, I guess. Mm-hmm. But no, none of that matters. Apparently the rules are not that. It's more that she just has to survive the day, apparently. I guess. Well, I mean, at this point, you don't really know that she died the night before, but apparently she did. So,
yeah.
So she just runs to the sorority and packs her bags. Lori, the pre-med, seems fairly unfazed by all of this and just offers Tree the birthday cake again. Birthday cupcake. See, I keep wanting to say birthday cake, but it's birthday cupcake. It's just a wee little thing. So
too small.
Yeah. Tree realizes the last thing she did was eat the cupcake before she fell asleep. So she accuses Lori of poisoning the cupcake. She also framed Toombs when she had access to him at the hospital. This is so Scooby-Doo to me. Like, it all lines up. But I guess technically it does.
Yeah. I mean, like, that is something, like, it kind of bothers me because, like, it's obviously a very smart conclusion to reach, but, like, how did she reach that conclusion?
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. Remember way back when I was talking about how it was weird that Lori looked at her driver's license and played with her phone and put on a different ringtone? All of that sounds like a crazy person to me. And I feel like that might have been indication enough. I'm glad that whoever wrote that in did, because that's nice. It both clears up problems with the story and also makes the pre-med just look like a crazy person.
Yeah, definitely, like, more in hindsight.
Yeah, she was doing homework on her, probably for quite a while. That might explain why she was so determined to kill her on the day of.
Yeah.
So Lori naturally denies it. You're like, hey, you're crazy. What are you talking about? So Tree asks her to try the cupcake. Lori refuses. And so Tree says, okay, fine. I'll bring it down to the police station and they'll tell me what's in here. And that just more or less forces Lori to attack Tree before she can do that.
Yeah.
My question is, why would you do this as Tree? If you actually believe that Lori is the killer and you've already dealt with her killing you a whole bunch of times. You know that she can handle you and that you're not going to want to antagonize her. What she should have done was just go to the police right away and make it seem like she doesn't know anything.
I mean, wouldn't you want to know for sure, though?
I guess, and maybe you want to just know why. And there certainly is that, because Laurie attacks Tree and knocks her over. Tree's just not feeling good because of how many times she's died. Or at least I assume that's why. And so Laurie favors her with some villainous monologuing, which I always enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
She says she hates Tree for being favored by Dr. Gregory, someone she was also apparently sleeping with. She also wants to kill Tree for just being dumb. These are the two reasons supplied.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, do you think that's enough? I guess.
For someone like her, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It was just, you're sleeping with a guy I like, and you're mean and stupid. So,
I'll say this. I've listened to enough true crime podcasts that, yeah, that is absolutely enough for someone to kill someone else.
All right. Well, there's that, I suppose. So they wrestle around the bedroom. Tree stuffs the poison cupcake in her mouth. And then as Laurie is trying to get it out of her mouth and throat, Tree gets up on a hanging lamp and just gives a crazy 2-foot double kick. And just like hurls Laurie out the window.
Jurassic Park 3 style.
No, that was 2, I think.
Oh, that's good. Oh, was it?
It was the Lost World. Remember? Because he had...
oh, yeah.
I remember this quite clearly because Jeff Goldblum's daughter kicks a velociraptor out of a window. And it's ridiculous. I like it, actually. But yeah, most people take that as one of the things that ruined that movie for them.
It is awful.
I don't know. Well, that's neither here nor there. I mean, listen, this is not a Jurassic Park podcast.
Not yet.
Not yet. So Laurie falls to her death right in front of the poor Vietnamese sorority sister.
I know.
Who just runs away screaming.
That poor girl.
Never did anything wrong in her life. Well, I guess we don't know.
Well.
In the movie, at any rate.
Yeah.
And just to have her sorority sister just die a horrible, bloody death right in front of her.
Yeah. How terrible.
Carter and Tree are celebrating her survival in a cafe. He invites her to spend the night in his dorm since hers is a cordoned off crime scene. How romantic. I guess it's technically true, I suppose.
So, on that note of crime scenes, I guess, how do you explain that one to the police?
Which part? Do you mean, that she kicked her roommate out of a window?
Yeah, and stuffed a poison cake in her mouth.
Well, you can prove that Laurie had made the cupcake. There's probably evidence of that.
Okay.
And there would probably be a way to trace whatever she put into it. If it's something dangerous and from the medical stuff that she was privy to, there's probably a record of when you take things out. So unless she snuck it, or I don't know, she might have just used, like a normal household item. I mean, that's what I would do. If we're going into hypothetical murder scenarios anyway.
Sure, yeah. If either of us were to, hypothetically speaking, kill someone with a cake, we wouldn't use it with anything.
Exactly. So anyway, I just think there'd be enough evidence to prove that she made the cupcake. And also, I'm not sure if there's anything else she did for sure. But I think that's probably enough, because then you're like, all right, well, listen, she tried to give it to me. I forced it down her throat, and then I kicked her out the window. I guess. But even if it's not a great explanation, I don't think Tree would care that much at that point. What would the worst thing that would happen to her? She would just get kicked out of the sorority.
Convicted of killing whatever.
No, that's sisters? Like manslaughter at best. I don't think it's that bad.
Okay. You want to get convicted of manslaughter?
Well, no, but I don't think it would even come to that. I mean, just the fact that the pre-med was so determined to kill her seems to indicate to me some sort of a bad past. There's probably evidence to help explain it, when you look into her past and whatever. And Danielle says it's because she didn't put makeup on. I don't know if I'd go with that. But in retrospect, it does look weird because she also doesn't have eyebrows. They're shaved off. I guess that was just to make her look weird.
I noticed that. I guess I never thought she was especially weird.
No, I know. Yeah, she looks normal enough. I almost thought it was refreshing
Yeah.
just to have her not have makeup on her face. But then again, it's a movie, so it might be that she just has makeup, but it's just, it's made to look like she doesn't have makeup, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Carter invites her to sleep over. I was just curious, like, does he know Tree that well in the current timeline? Nah, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. She knows him
whatever.
well
She
enough,
can-
so I
she-
guess it's fine.
she can explain it. Like, hey, this is how we feel about each other. You need to get used to it.
This is when they mention the movie Groundhog Day. Carter brings it up. He's like, have you ever heard of the movie Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
And the Tree just says, like, oh, I've never seen it. He's like, how could you have lived your life never having seen Groundhog Day? It's got Bill Murray in it. Like, oh, you mean the Ghostbusters guy?
Yeah. Well, no, she doesn't know who he is.
Or maybe he says that. It's something, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he's just
Yeah.
horrified. I'm not sure if I'm as big a fan of that thing that we have now, where we get mad at people for not knowing something we like. I mean, I know there's...
No, but like, it's funny.
It is funny, yeah. So, the camera pans out on this kind of little joke, and you think, oh, well, it's over. That's fun. And then it goes back to her waking up to the sound of bells again. It's, oh, no! And so she wakes up, and it's just like, what's happening? And then Carter's just like, he starts to say the same thing he says every day, on the previous day, just for him. And he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. It's the 19th. It's Tuesday. The day has passed. And, and then they wrestle and they kiss. And I was just thinking, like, if you believed even a part of what she told you, would you really do this? Super cool, bro.
I would, but I also like going too far on jokes and pissing people off.
There's a sticker on his door that they go in on, they pan into, or zoom into. At the end of this, while they're playing the music for the credits, it says, today is the first day of the rest of your life, which is pretty blah.
Yeah.
The end credits are colorful and fun, and that's it, basically.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's the film. Apparently,
the
end. For real this time. There will be no sequels, except for the sequels.
Oh, yeah.
The film cost $4.8 million to make and earned a worldwide total of $125 million.
Jesus.
So it was a astonishing success in that sense. I think this is this is something about horror films that people don't talk about a lot. Just as a business function, they are highly effective.
Oh, yeah.
If you get a semi-decent horror film, they cost almost nothing to make because they usually don't have big names in them, and they don't have good production values generally.
Yeah.
And so they're relatively inexpensive to make, and they're really popular. So, I mean, you can often make, like 4 or 5 times, what you spent just getting it done. And this would also explain why there are so many bad horror movies out there. They don't have to be better in order to succeed, apparently.
That's true. I saw, what is it, The Nun or whatever?
Oh, yeah. It's part of that extended universe or whatever they call it for
the one,
Blumhouse.
Yeah, the one with the giant creepy nun who looks like the Joker, but is also a nun.
Well, what'd you think?
About that movie? I hated it. What about Happy Death Day? I'm not a huge fan of the beginning, but once it starts ramping up, I think it's decent enough. I don't think it's terribly outstanding, but it also doesn't have huge gaping flaws in the movie or whatever that make it hard to enjoy the looping aspect. It's it's thought out well enough. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Okay. Blumhouse made this movie. It's actually their third most successful movie after Us and Get Out, I believe it is. Or maybe it was Split at the time. I think this is before Us came out. And Blumhouse also made that Nun movie you were talking about. They're just cranking them out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This got 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty favorable, honestly. But that's mostly, I think, audience response, because it only has 58 on Metacritic. So that's not great.
I mean, even that for, a horror movie.
Yeah, with this kind of a trashy premise, like a college burnout girl getting killed by a slasher over and over again. That's not bad.
No.
You want to do your rating for it, or I can do mine first if you like.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, what's the rating again?
We're gonna do this every episode,
Listen,
aren't we? It's
no,
1 to
we
10,
are.
and yeah, maybe it's not clear enough for either of us. Well,
I guess.
actually, I didn't remind myself when I was doing the preparations for this. So it's 1 to 10, and it's based on. I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. It's like how effective it was at doing what it tried to do.
Sure.
So
Okay. God,
how well it exceeded at its own goals. Maybe that's the way to put it.
I guess
Trying to put an emphasis on the functional aspects of horror movies, if only because most horror movies are not critically very good, in a traditional sense. So I'm trying to lower it to a more functional bar, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is I feel like I keep rating these too high because I don't know if I don't know if if you were gun to my head saying, 1 out of 10, what is this? But for what it's trying to go for, I mean, it literally achieved everything it was going for, didn't it?
Well, if it's a successful movie and the fact that it exists, I guess that's a certain level of competence. But I think you can also factor in things like, how well an audience, would respond to this. So you can factor in things like critical and audience response and that kind of stuff.
I guess. I mean, personal feelings about the movie, probably 7 out of 10. But I mean, it's higher if we're talking about what it set out to achieve, because it's set out to achieve a slasher movie based around someone getting killed again and again in a time loop, and it did all that really well.
Yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, I'd say 7 out of 10 is probably a fair score.
I mean, in that regard, it's got to be a 9 or something at least. I mean, what would you do better with it?
You know what? Let's go with your other score. Yeah, I think 7's probably.
That's what I'm saying. It's there's something wrong with this metric, I think.
All right. Well, we'll tinker with it. Or or you can just go by whatever metric you feel like. The other thing is I don't want it to ever be consistently too high or too low by whatever it is we choose. Which
Sure.
is to say there should be 1s and there should be 9s and 10s.
Yeah, we also, I guess that, Jesus, that puts a lot of pressure on me to pick some just absolute dog shit.
We're gonna get to some bad movies, but I'm gonna try to space it out, or at least in my choices, for things that are at least interesting or notable one way or another. I don't really want to dumpster dive right off the bat.
Sure, but I feel like you're almost forcing me to pick the Bye Bye Man.
Well, listen, if we hadn't done Happy Death Day, it probably would have been Bye Bye Man. So we'll eventually get to that, or maybe we can watch. What's the guy's name? No, not Tall Man. The one without a face and the tentacles.
Slender Man.
Enderman or no? Slenderman.
Slenderman.
Enderman's in Minecraft. Yeah, Slenderman's the one.
Yeah, not to be confused with Psycho Gorman, which is a fun little movie. We should maybe do that sometime.
Yeah, that's very strange looking. I just saw an ad for that on Shudder. After this movie, they made a sequel in 2019, Happy Death Day to You.
Yeah.
And then after that, a year after that, Lonely Island came out with Palm Springs, which is essentially another Groundhog Day type movie. It's a romantic comedy where they're stuck in the same day. It's a wedding movie.
That.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. How'd you like it?
Yeah, it's not great, man.
No, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah, no, not very good.
It's interesting because it actually has way better reviews than Happy Death Day, and I quite like Happy Death Day. Or at least I think I do.
I think just going off of my feelings, it probably gets more credit because it's a comedy movie. And
yeah, well, that
has...
is part of it. There's a big bias against horror films because they have such dark subject matter.
Well, sure, but also I think comedy movies, conversely, get more credit than they deserve in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just because of how bad some of those other Lonely Island films had been. You're just like, wow, this one's not bad.
Yeah, this thing too is it also has famous faces attached to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like this movie. Happy Death Day, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I like the twisting up of the genres between romantic comedy, college humor, and a self-aware slasher film. It's all pretty competently done, and it's fun, and it never outstays its welcome.
Yeah.
It's not the best thing ever. I wouldn't consider it like the best version of itself. I guess that's kind of the way I think of this system. So it's not the absolute perfect version of this movie, but it's pretty good. I would just give it, I think I'll go with a 6 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. It's not like the best ever. I'm not going to rewatch it all the time, but I'm not mad at it.
Also, it is kind of funny because, I guess that says something about the subjective nature of and a largely arbitrary 1 through 10 rating is,
yeah,
I rated the movie higher than you, but like it less than you do.
Well, that's part of my problem is that I'm incredibly strict. And that's why I needed to change it from a regular rating system, because otherwise everything would be like 2s, ones and 2s. Be like, it would be hard to differentiate, be like, well, like if I was using like a 4-star scale, think of like, oh, okay, well, Happy Death Day would be like 1.5 stars, like in a real thing, I think.
Jesus.
If you have like Citizen Kane or something, maybe I'll go with 2. Yeah.
You need to watch some like actually bad movies sometime if that's the case.
Oh no, I go down to 0.5 star or 0 stars, but yeah.
Okay, first of all, half a star doesn't.
I know you hate fractions.
Yeah, I already hate the idea of 0.5 star, but also 0 star is a completely new level of dislike.
That is when you're like actively angry. Yeah.
That has to be like a movie so bad you physically had to leave at some point.
I wish I had walked out of Alien vs. Predator Requiem. That was the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, but that was really bad. But those things are subjective. One of the horror movies I hated the most wasn't even the worst movie, but it's just, it'll have an emotional reaction. It was Wishmaster 4, I think it was. The Prophecy Fulfilled. I hate that movie.
Okay, first of all, you got to be talking about 3 because 4 is actually good.
I could be wrong. I have my numbers wrong. I even own the whole series, and I don't remember which one it is. But it's one of the Canadian-made ones, and it's the one where the girl wishes that the genie would fall in love with her. I hate that movie. I hate it with a white-hot passion. There's this great scene where like the genies of chaos are talking to the Wishmaster guy, and they're like, "You love her, don't you?" And I'm just like, "You've ruined this franchise forever." It's like just changing the main character, like having Freddy Krueger like try to fall in love with a girl or something. You know what I mean? Like it was so weird and wrong.
Oh wait, is it the one where there's like one of them where for 3 of those movies they have that was it Andrew Divoff guy?
Yeah, I know, he's great. And he wasn't in this one.
No, okay, it's literally the one where he isn't in it is the shitty one. I like all 3 of the other ones where he's in it, mostly because of him.
Yeah, it's Wishmaster: The Prophecy Fulfilled. It came out in 2002. I just looked it up. It's the 4th one, and that's.
Oh, okay.
It's not even here's the thing. That's what I was trying to get back to before. Not even the worst horror movie ever. Not even close. But for me, like that is the angriest I've been walking out of a. Well, I didn't walk out of a theater. I didn't see it in theaters. Well, walking away from the viewing experience, I was just like, man, I hate this movie.
Yeah.
And I do think we need to get to that. I actually do. I'm going to savor occasionally having us going through a real bad movie. Oh. But I don't want to be doing it all the time. So, let's try to mix it up between different styles and different quality levels, Yeah. Keep it fresh.
No, I know. I got my eye on some things.
All right, then. Yeah, that's right. I think you're choosing the next one. Yeah, but we'll discuss that outside of the podcast so that we don't have to organize ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I feel like we're just about done, right?
We're approaching. There's one more thing I need to do, but then then that'll be it.
All right. Well, what's up?
Oh yeah. Well, we haven't done the IMDb keyword game yet.
Oh wait. Okay. Before we do that, then.
Okay.
I didn't watch the alternate ending.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm so glad you reminded me. Okay. Yeah. So we should do that.
All right.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
It's for the pain.
Oh, the doctor said no pain medication.
Not your pain, Teresa. Mine. Did you really think you'd get away with screwing my husband?
Gotta be kidding me.
Oh my god. It's the lady being cheated on.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Jesus. That is a. I guess I can see how you would lead into a sequel through that, but Jesus. No thanks.
I was
Not a
not
fan.
thinking that that was a sequel. I thought that was just ending it forever. It's like, well, she died a different way, so now she can never come back.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a little. That's I guess that's more of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was just like, man, what a horrible ending that would have been. If it's the doctor's wife is just like, you were cheating on with my husband, and so I'm going to kill you rather than be mad at my husband.
Yeah.
Apparently, this was the original ending, and they showed it to focus groups, and they said that it was not a good ending. So thank God for that.
I would agree with that, even though I don't usually agree with. Or I guess I wouldn't even say maybe I don't usually agree with focus groups, but like there are some good examples of focus groups flipping up movies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Also, originally in earlier drafts of the script, Laurie and Dr. Gregory were murdering people together as an evil couple.
Oh, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
like,
boring.
like,
So yeah, Dr. Gregory is a lot funnier as just someone who could have been the killer.
yeah. I think looking at that, like the movie's fine as is.
Exactly. Okay, so there was 397 keywords and phrases for this movie. I'm not going to be listing all that, of course. I'm just doing the top 20.
No.
But I'm just thinking, like, that is a lot for this sort of a film. I don't know why exactly some are generated and some are not.
Mhm.
But, whatever. So here's the top 20 for Happy Death Day.
Hit me.
Stabbed to death.
Yeah. Suppose so.
Trapped in time loop.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Time loop. So it just says it again.
Sure.
Slasher flick.
Yeah.
Parking garage. I mean, there is one in one scene.
Oddly specific, but sure.
Yeah. College campus.
Mm-hmm.
Sorority house.
Yeah.
Baby mask. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Wait, how many baby? Let's not even. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
There's a fair amount of baby masks.
All right.
Oh, you mean other movies? I don't know.
Yeah.
Watching gay porn.
I'm glad that's up there.
Yeah. Farting. That's good.
That does happen once.
Yeah. I mean, no, but it's a good fart. I mean, I think that's worth mentioning.
No comment, but all right.
Suicide by hanging.
Yeah.
Cleavage.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I don't actually remember there being any, but whatever.
The yoga outfit.
Oh yeah, well, I guess if you're looking, I suppose.
Okay, I mean, not that I was.
Oh
like,
no,
looking
I
for
just
it,
meant
I'm
like
saying.
whoever wrote this. I think this whole little section that's about to come up is a little sleazy, so I'm just gonna go through them quick.
Right.
Mini skirt, short skirt,
All right.
visible midriff, and mini skirt with heels.
These people know what they like.
Well, if you're looking for certain things out of films, this is a way to go.
Yeah.
Public nudity. So,
Sure.
that's fair. Twist ending. Is it a twist? Yeah, I guess it is a twist.
Yeah.
Birthday
Yeah.
and masked killer. So, there you go.
Yeah. Those all seem like they make sense. Some are a little hornier than others, but yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I wonder if it got into like a less weird part of it if I had gone deeper, but I ain't going deeper than 20. It would just take forever.
That's good.
You ever hear those podcasts where they like list off Patreon supporters and it goes on for like 20 minutes?
Yeah, no thanks. I'm sorry. I got I have stuff to do, but I don't want to listen to it.
I don't know. I think if someone was giving me money, I'd probably do it. You'd be amazed at what you would do for, for a little bank.
Sure.
So yeah, that's basically it, I think, for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I think that was good.
I think it's an enjoyable experience. I'd recommend it to other people. It's relatively competent. It's a good baby's first horror film, I would say. Because it's not too harsh. It's not too scary. It's a good one for people who have a low tolerance because it's spooky, but it's not too spooky.
Yeah,
it's clever.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Or at least relatively clever. I just think it's interesting that it's from the perspective of a not terribly nice person who has to kind of grow. I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
Because for the first half of this movie, I hated Tree. But then as she grew, well, I don't know if I ever got to the point where I super liked her, but you at least get to the point where you find her interesting and compelling. I'm like, I wouldn't mind hearing more about her.
Yeah.
So, I'll probably go check out the sequel at some point.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That sounds like something we'll do in a future episode even.
Absolutely. Unless you got any parting thoughts, I think this is about it.
Yeah, I think we're done here.
Wait, what's your dog's name again?
Clover.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for introducing Clover into our lives.
She fell asleep. So.
I know, yeah. It was a wonderful gift to me in my editing later.
Well, enjoy that.
Okay. Right. So, until next time, everybody out there, I've been Peter.
I've been Jacob.
And this is Gorman on Gore.
Later.
And is that chocolate milk I see?
I miss breakfast.
What is breakfast, Becky?